Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans. They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
It's delicious. Woo! Last time I saw something shaking like that, it cost me $23. It was New Orleans, and frankly, I needed the money. In any event, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Carton Show. That handsome guy was getting lit right there. Yeah. No offense, Rick Hoffman. Is my main man, David Jacoby. This pine tree right here is former...
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's just too much.
It's not enough.
And I want to spend $6.95 a month on seeing it. Heavy, you're my hero. Sound Essential, three-dimensional right here.
There you go.
Is my main guy, Willie Colon, Super Bowl champion. And it is Friday. It is Christmas Friday, of course, which is why we're all in the spirit. Hopefully you guys are enjoying that as well with your friends and family. Let's get you started with a little something we call Friday morning headlines. Hey, just real quick, the Dallas Cowboys and Miami Dolphins are playing what we like to call the game of the year. And, of course, Miami's like the Dallas of the AFC.
Yeah.
And Dallas is like the Miami of the NFC. But this is a huge game. A lot of ramifications for number one seed overall, for division titles, and for whom you're going to play in the postseason, which is paramount.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Craig. Both teams are fighting for that regular season credibility and that postseason credibility, right? Because, listen, the bottom line is the Dolphins, if you are the team that you need to be, you cannot lose to the Dallas Cowboys, right? You need this because the Buffalo Bills are by far the hottest team in football, and they're coming for the taking since they're 2.5 games back. Well, it's interesting that this game is happening right now.
So much on the line, and not just the playoff seeding in both conferences, but also, Craig Carton's on a streak right now of picking games.
Is he on a heater?
He's on a bit of a heater.
Like he needs that.
I don't like to talk about it.
Early in the week, when you guaranteed the Cowboys were going to win, I got a little nervous. I can't lie.
Cowboys, look, the Miami Dolphins, no fault of their own. We'll get into this much more in depth a little later in the show. They haven't beaten anybody. They haven't had to. No. I never blame a team for its schedule. I don't want to be clear to Dolphins talk and all the great Dolphin fans in South Florida. You are one of the best teams in the sport. You have a legitimate shot like anybody to make a run to the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. But who have you beaten this year? Like, no joke, go ahead and take a look at it. I spent all morning looking at it going, I can't believe they haven't played anybody yet. Right. But that's the reality. And from a Cowboy perspective, just very fast, the Cowboys could drop to third, not just fifth. They could be second. They could be first. They could be third. They could be fifth. They could be sixth. And the Dallas Cowboys right now, if they don't win these games, are looking at the prospect of the L.A. Rams.
Oh, wow.
You want no part of L.A.
The rowdy
and
Rams.
As you saw last night, the Rams did beat the Saints, and the Rams right now are now sitting in that sixth spot. So that is a team that Dallas might have to play, depending on what happens here the last 3 weeks. More on that later on because I just confused everybody enough. All right. I confused myself, to be honest, so if I'm confused, God knows you're confused. That guy right there, Brock the Machine Purdy, going up against that guy right there, Lamar Jackson, in what a lot of people are saying is the game of the year. And it's also the MVP Bowl.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I didn't realize this, but the Baltimore Ravens haven't been favored since week 2 against the Bengals.
What?
That's wild.
What?
Yeah,
I don't believe you.
I'm serious.
That couldn't be less true.
I'm telling you. They haven't been favored since week 2 against the Bengals.
I know you're telling me. I'm telling you that couldn't be less true.
Even if that's true, it's not true.
Matter of fact, that might be the biggest mistake ever made on this show.
Yes.
From a factual standpoint,
We gotta research
I don't know what kind of
researcher shaking his head.
Yeah.
Sure.
Researcher shaking his head.
If you got that from our research researcher. He's fine.
I did. I looked it up. Maybe it was bad. I looked it up. I thought it was right. But
I got to ask, where?
On the internet. Where everybody else is setting stuff up.
I'll help you out. I won't get through it.
No,
okay.
God.
By the way, I think what you might have read is this is the first time they've been underdogged all year. You might have read it reversed.
Well, do some research on the break.
Listen, dyslexia is real, folks. It's a real problem. There we go. In any event, that is one of the big games this week. It is 49ers hosting the Ravens, and San Francisco, of course, favored by 5.5. But it's the machine versus Action Jackson, and it is the MVP Bowl. And we'll have a lot to do, again, seeding and where you go come January. Your third headline, we know there's panic in the streets of Philadelphia. That's a normal situation for them in December and January. But Jalen Hurts now taking some ownership of that panic and saying, look, at the end of the day, it's me. Yeah. I play well, we win. I play badly, we lose. All roads to the Super Bowl lead through my right arm.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the Eagles are going through this at this time of the year, but
it's really great. It's not unfortunate at all. I love it.
Well, for Eagle fans, they hate it. But at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts, man, I credit him for being a leader. This is what you want out of your leader this time. It does start with him. He has to be better. They have to play better, and he has the ball in his hand, so he has to make the right decisions.
Well, here's the deal. To be fair to Jalen Hurts, no one has ever questioned his leadership. Yeah. He is that guy from college on. Like, that's been one of the things people have always said about him, is that is a quiet leader that guys will follow into a burning building. And he's also right. Yeah. He has not played well. 2 interceptions, of course, on Monday night, a bunch of fumbles this year, and it's not the same we got last year out of him, and that was with the bad shoulder. So he has always been a very accountable guy, and I do respect the hell out of Jalen Hurts. He has been mistreated by this organization all year, and he has never once blinked in the face of that kind of adversity. So you got to love Jalen Hurts as much as we all hate Philadelphia. That being said, we got a great Christmas Friday show for you. We are off on Monday. It's a rare thing.
What?
I think the executives got drunk and they're like, fine, the Carton Show gets one day off this year. And it's going to be Monday, Christmas, so we're going to celebrate Christmas with you right here. We'll do a lot of Dallas Cowboys talk right after this. That's a
Let
family.
them bells jingle, baby. Yeah. Where them dollars at?
It was a family
Where
show.
them dollars at?
The weather outside is fine. Hey, welcome back. It's the Carton Show. Just enjoying the Christmas spirit here. I will say, my people, our music is not as festive.
Sure.
That being said, I love Christmas music very, very much. And happy to be here enjoying a big weekend with you guys. Real quick, before I get to Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys, there was one very fast bit of news from Major League Baseball. There's this Japanese phenom pitcher whose last name is Yamamoto.
Nice.
Everybody in baseball wanted the guy. The Mets wanted him. The Yankees wanted him. The Giants, the Dodgers, everybody wanted the guy. The Dodgers got him last night. 12 years, $325 million. And here's the rub on it. He has never thrown a single pitch in this country. And they guaranteed him $325 million. And if the LA Dodgers do not win a World Series, it is the biggest waste of money in the history of sports between what he got and what Ohtani got. But that being said, the Mets didn't get him. The Yankees didn't get him. The Dodgers now own the sport of baseball, and the great Japanese players that want to come over here and play, obviously with the 2 signings this year. They've now committed $1.2 billion to 2 guys.
We always say, like, championship or bust. This is championship or, like, you all get fired.
Yeah. By the way, and I'll do you one better. You have to win like 4 or 5. I'm not sure if 1 World Series is enough
At all.
when you spend that kind of loot on dudes like they have. But I wanted to acknowledge it because it is a very big deal for those of you that are getting into the hot stove of Major League Baseball. Now back to the sport we really care about. Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys. Major issues on the road this year. More on offense than defense. But here's Micah Parsons talking about going to Miami and having to prove themselves on the road.
When you're at home, you're comfortable. You kind of do what you do. But when you're on the road, you're in a new space, you're in a new area, you're in a new area, you're in just a new environment. And the mindset is when the Lions, Roman, does he take over the land or does he die? And last week we died, so we got to take over some land this week.
I'm not quite sure I understand the National Geographic reference there about the Lions, kind of whatever it is. That being said, it's so easy. I don't have to complicate things or bring yaks into it. It's very simple. You're a great home team. You score 40 points a game. You're undefeated. You beat the Eagles. Whoever walks into Dallas loses. And on the road, you score 15 points less. You're under 500, and you don't have that signature win on the road. And you can see the splits right there, obviously. Undefeated at home, 40 points a game. Under 500 on the road, 21 points a game. The whole thing sucks on the road, right? That being said, none of that matters if you take care of business against the Miami Dolphins. And I've said, as Jacoby referenced earlier, since Monday, the Dallas Cowboys will be the best team that the Miami Dolphins have played all year. And I'm a firm believer that the Dallas Cowboys get that signature road win, and I do think they will beat the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, the bottom line is, if you go back to last week's game, the Buffalo Bills were the most physical outfit. So if you plan to go into Dolphin Stadium and get the job done, you have to beat the Dolphins up front because they're dealing with some injuries on both sides, right? You're talking about Zach Martin being down and Tyron Smith being down, possibly for the Cowboys, and so did the Miami Dolphins. They have issues on the offensive line. But if you're Micah Parsons, man, you got to be able to get home. And this defensive outfit for the Cowboys, they got to be the most physical outfit. They got to take it to two, and they got to be able to get home.
Yeah.
And he has to have a more dominant
Here's the weird thing about it. This game is actually far more important for the Dolphins than it is for the Cowboys.
Yeah,
the Cowboys already have the little X next to their name when you look at the standings online, and that means they're in the playoffs. So they're in the quote-unquote tournament, right? Miami's not. And there is actually a road, and this is crazy to say this with only 3 games to go. There is a road for them to be the number 1 seed. Win out. Win your last 3 games. The Miami Dolphins are the number 1 seed. They get the bye. But there's another side to that coin. There always is. And the other side of that coin, Jacoby, is they could lose out. If they lose out, very tough schedule, as you know, there's a chance they don't make the playoffs. Now, I don't think anybody here thinks the Dolphins are not going to make the playoffs.
Possible.
But it's on the table.
It's on the table, but if you look at their schedule, and we saw this in week 1, we're like, whoa, look at the end of that schedule. Cowboys,
those are all big dogs.
Yeah, there's a chance they win out and become the number 1 seed. But there's a much bigger chance they lose all 3 of those games. They don't win the division. The Bills win the division, and then they are on the road in the wild card round in the playoffs.
Yeah, but even further than that, because that would get them to 7 losses, and I don't want to get too in the weeds on all the tiebreakers and all that. It is legitimate that the Miami Dolphins could be on the outside looking in and not make the playoffs. Now, a lot of other teams have to win their games. There's a lot of kind of cohabitating going on, a lot of ancestral type relationships there, because a lot of these teams all play each other, right?
Yes.
So there's going to be some cannibalization amongst the AFC teams. But imagine with 3 weeks to go. You could be the 1 seed. You could be not in the playoffs.
No, you said it right yesterday, though, when you talked about Tua chose the wrong time to talk about receipts. Solely because of that schedule.
Right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to understand.
Because play that out.
Yeah.
He talked smack yesterday about, oh, yeah, I suck without Tyreek. I suck, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
All the negative narratives. If they lose out and they don't get in, which, again, I don't think it happens, but it's certainly on the table to happen, you know exactly what the media is going to do. Hello, Tua. You were saying you just lost 4 out of your last 5 and have one of the biggest disappointments in the history of NFL.
Yeah, 100%, because both teams are doing great at one thing, beating below average teams or average teams, right? These are all big dogs. These are all quarterbacks who are big dogs. So if you're Tua at the end of the day, man, you have to play your best ball for the next 3 weeks, like your best ball ever, to actually come out the building with a W. So best of luck, man, but it starts in Dallas, and I hope he brings his A game.
Yeah, but the point made earlier, which is the best point, is that these teams are exactly the same. They're both dominant at home, and they're both on the road. Like the Dolphins' losses aren't at home, right? It's the Kansas City loss in Germany, it's the loss in Buffalo, and then the loss in Philadelphia, right? They don't lose at home, but they're going to lose at home this weekend because the Dallas Cowboys represent the Grinch of Christmas as they go into Miami and get their signature win. And I'll tell you what, in the NFC, Nobody wants those Rams, including the Dallas Cowboys. Now, coming up after what they tell me is a very, very quick break. We got first in football, and we have something that, amazingly enough, has gone from bad to ugly to I can't take my eyes off it. That's right. And believe it or not, it is sports related. And we'll give it to you. Yeah, that's right. Right after this. So last night, the Detroit Pistons did something amazing. They lost to a group of no-name guys on the Utah Jazz by 8 points, 119-111. You see, those are the best-looking girls in Detroit, by the way. As you know.
Whoa. Detroit got some...
Not known for their attractive women, Willie. You know that.
Well,
that being said, the Detroit Pistons have now lost 25 consecutive games. Believe it or not, it's not the NBA record. 26 is in a single season. 28's the record if you go season to season, which doesn't make any sense, so we don't do it. So you've got 26 as the record, the 10-11 Cavs, the 13-14 Sixers, and the Pistons are right there. And here's what's crazy about it. They're a really bad basketball team, obviously. You got one guy you've probably heard of in Cade Cunningham. But outside of that, you do have Monty Williams, supposed to be a great coach, makes more money than anybody else.
Yeah.
He's brutal, right? But it went from, I don't want to watch the Pistons play, to, I don't want to watch the Pistons play, to how many consecutive losses?
What time's the game?
To what time's the game?
Yeah.
To everybody over to my place. We're watching the Detroit. Because now it's weird. Like, now I want them to lose every game, right?
But they had 20 turnovers last night. Like, you're going to lose games if that's what you're doing.
Forget about all that. It's now record-setting stuff. Now,
So you want them to lose 40 games?
Yes. They can't lose enough. Yes, if they lost every game, that would be awesome because now I've got a reason to watch the Detroit Pistons. Like, if they play the Knicks I watch, I'm a Knicks fan, right?
Right.
If they're playing the Memphis Grizzlies,
Sure.
I love Ja, but if it's a random, nondescript game, I might not watch it. Now I'm searching for it. Like, I go to those illegal Reddit streams trying to find it.
You can text me, like, it's the Lakers and Timberwolves are tied with a minute left. They'd be like, sorry, Craig, watching the Pistons, they're down by 30. Honestly.
Yeah, it is great. I cannot wait to see them continue to lose.
Yeah.
It makes me feel better about myself, Willie. That's really
Is that
all
what it is?
All right, big football weekend. Don't forget there are games on Saturday. There's games on Sunday. And, of course, the big game is on Monday. But Jacoby's got you settled with First in Football.
Starting with First Football, first down was the start of the week. That's the Thursday Night Football between the Rams and the Saints. The final score was 30-22, but it was not even close. The Rams look great. Are the Rams the team that no team in the NFC wants to see in the playoffs?
Oh, very much so. And they're the 6th seed now. Don't get the eggnog is good. Don't let that get twisted either. Stafford is playing, Pro Bowl caliber football right now. And one of the great acquisitions of this past year was Puka Nacua because it gave them a second option next to Cooper Kupp. And he has been great. So play it out right now. The Rams are in the 6th spot. They get over 500, meaning right now it's a collision course with the Detroit Lions. But this is why that Dallas-Miami game is so important because Detroit's schedule is easier on paper than the Cowboys is. The Lions have Minnesota twice, right? Which also helps the Rams. So the Lions now are playing the Vikings to do one of two things. Avoid the Rams or get the Rams. I think you should avoid the Rams right now because they are playing really, really good football, especially on offense.
Yeah, bottom line, that score could have been a lot worse, right? Because you talk about Stratford late in that game, he missed Puka Nacua back in the end zone. That didn't happen. Cooper Kupp had a drop. And be honest, if you watch the whole game, Sean McVay in the fourth quarter let his foot off the gas, right? And so this offense is really flying at a high level solely because of Stratford and what the weapons he has between Cooper and Puka Nacua. Stafford, excuse me. So
listen, it's they say a lot in sports. It's about when are you hot? When are you playing your best football? And they're 8-7 now, and they're now in the 6th seed. So one more win, and they're probably locked into a playoff spot. And I would not want to play a team when they're hot. It's like, I say it all the time. I want the easiest road. Look at that pass. That's just beautiful, right? Just stupid. Like, not a lot of guys make that pass. That being said, I want a team when they're at their worst. I do not want a team when they're at their best. And I know from a Cowboy perspective, well, I don't care who we play. We're the best home team in football.
Right.
We score 40 points a game. There's something to be said about when. And if you're the Dallas Cowboys and a red-hot Rams team comes in and you've got all the pressure now because you better win a home playoff game, I would want no part of the Rams if I'm the Cowboys. And, by the way, nor the Lions. Imagine Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit saying, what's up?
Yeah.
Right?
Look at me now.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the Rams become a very intriguing dark horse pick to actually get into the playoffs and maybe get to an NFC Championship.
And credit Sean McVay, man. Like we talk about coaches of the year. Like this guy saved this team, right? Like he reconstructed the offense. He got Puka Nacua into the mainframe. Cooper Kupp got healthy and became a back factor again. Stafford is balling. The defense is playing a lot better. Yeah. So this team has really come together as of late. And you're right, Craig. Between them and the Buffalo Bills, you do not want to see these teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, I wouldn't be like if you told me that the Bills and the Rams were in their championship games. I could buy that.
Yeah.
And I would say success is a function of expectations, right? And there was a part of me going into the season, I was thinking maybe the Rams are going to look at one of these college quarterbacks. And now look,
100%.
they've got one of the hottest teams that no one wants to play in the NFC. And also what you told me is the Rams have a knockout offense based on Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams' production.
And they can run.
Like, who?
Dude,
who are
Sean
people?
McVay told all his assistants, go get jobs.
Seriously.
Because I don't think I'm coming back. He had multiple offers to do this for a living from different networks, right?
Or just take the year off.
Yeah. And now, not only, yes, a couple assistants did leave, but now it's like, hey, it's a good thing I stayed because now we're going to the playoffs again. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Moving on to second down in advance of the game of the year. Of course, we're talking about the Cowboys. Oh, wait, not the Cowboys-Dolphins. The other game of the year, the Ravens and the Niners. And in advance of the other game of the year, here is head coach of the Niners, Kyle Shanahan, on stopping that man, Lamar Jackson.
There's not just one way in particular. I mean, you think they lead the league in sacks, so right away you think about our O-line, and that is true because they have good pass rushers. But also that has a lot to do with how good our receivers do get into their spots and getting open. Brock to get in the right spots. Guys not getting rerouted.
Yeah, well, I'm not worried about the machine. I'm not worried about Brock the Machine Purdy. I think this is going to be a little comeuppance for the Baltimore Ravens, and they are my pick to go to the Super Bowl from the AFC and have been virtually the entire year. So this is not me hating on Baltimore, so slow your roll out there with the Twitter crap. In Baltimore,
calling you haters, Craig.
All right, Baltimore I've been pretty good with right now, but I know what's coming. I know what's coming. God forbid you actually pick against them once.
Yeah.
I know what's coming. I just think, and I've said this for a long time on this show, that San Francisco is the most complete team in the entire NFL. And I do respect the Ravens pass rush. I think they got a better offensive line than most people do also, especially that left side of the line. And until somebody exposes San Francisco's weakness, and I don't know what that weakness is, I'm going with San Francisco.
Yeah, there was an early part of the year when you talked about Bosa having receipts, a blueprint on how to beat Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. That's because, we'll take away Jalen Hurts' first option, and he looks to scramble. Lamar Jackson, he's not worried about scrambling anymore because of the confidence of what he can do in the pocket. So you can try to take away those rush lanes, if you will. Now he's throwing the ball down the field, he's making explosive plays, and they're a good road team, and he's confident, and he's composed. So this is the most dangerous I think we've seen Lamar Jackson, and this is where you want to be if you're the Baltimore Ravens going into league.
But don't forget, they're doing it without some of their best players too, which makes it even more impressive what Lamar Jackson has done. But to me, there's a reason San Francisco's favored by 5.5 points. I know the spread hasn't moved much or at all this entire week. It means something to me. Like the Baltimore Ravens are rarely, if ever, underdogs. And they're going on the road, and they're in a 5.5 point underdog. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
I think this is the last loss the Baltimore Ravens suffer this year. But I do think San Francisco beats them, and I think beats them quite handily.
I think a part of it is what I love about the San Francisco is their defense is their linebackers with Greenlaw and Wagner. And what they can do is if you're Lamar Jackson and you're in the pocket and you're looking downfield, you're thinking about rushing, and you see Greenlaw, I don't want any of those problems. And I think that they're going to be able to contain the threat of him running.
Yeah, dude, they have all pros at every level on both sides of the field. It's the best team of football.
Yeah, but don't get it twisted. The Ravens have a linebacker court between McQueen and Raekwon Swift. Those guys get busy. So you talk about this Niner defense, like the Ravens have arguably one of the best defenses in football too.
I'm not going to lie, it's hard to talk to you wearing that.
What do you want me to do?
I'm just
I've been distracted also.
I'm distracted by your sexiness, right?
That's what it is. I've never been prettier.
Willie Colon with balls on his chest is the sexiest thing I've seen in a long time.
Right.
Yeah, some guys like chestnuts.
Hey, Roasted, though. Roasted. Roasted on a fire. There you go.
Jacoby's like, don't come this way.
Right. I've never seen you move far away from me. You just kind of drift.
There is a large gap between us.
Normally you're a little closer.
All right, what else you got, Jacoby?
Moving on to third down, Lions quarterback Jared Goff had some very interesting sound about the Lions potentially winning the division and their history in that division. Here is Jared Goff.
We understand it, we get it. I think I've said this before, but we don't carry the weight of the last 30 years here. We don't.
Yeah,
It's the 2023 Lions, and we're different than last year's team, and the year before, and 30 years before that. So we're trying to make our mark this year, and we got a chance to do it this week. But it's been a long season and had some success, and hopefully can get it done.
So, Craig, this is interesting to me. Does the sort of Lions' history of losing affect this team in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah.
That's dumb. Come on, Craig.
You don't think it does?
Yes.
Of course it does.
I'm with you. Yeah. But that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard Jared Goff say.
I'm with you. Of course it does, because it's all people are talking about in Detroit. He goes out to get an Italian hero at the deli. They're talking about, hey, come on, end the streak.
Yeah.
You guys got this. First division title in 30 years. We got a shot, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's all real. This is, by far, over the course of the last 30 years, the worst franchise in the NFL. And I say that recognizing that the Jaguars were pretty bad, the Jets are pretty bad, and Browns and all those other teams. They're worse than all of them. So the fact that you walk around town and you think, well, I have no connection to Barry Sanders, I have no connection to Night Train Lane, you do, because you're repping the colors, right?
No question.
And you're a part of the fabric of that community. They are going to win the division. They are a win away or a Viking loss away. The division is theirs. They play the Vikings twice. They're going to beat the Vikings. It's all going to be good. And then the question is, what's their seed and who do they play in the postseason? But the Detroit Lions still have a chance to improve where they're at because of what happened with the Dallas Cowboys, because of where Philadelphia is at right now. So to me, it's laser focused, beat Minnesota this weekend, win the division, check that box off,
sir.
And then who do they play in between them two? They play the Vikings twice. And of course they have the Cowboys. So here's the rub for the Cowboys and Lions. They're both going to win this weekend. Dallas is going to beat Miami. Detroit's going to beat Minnesota. That Week 17 game
is everything.
The game of the year.
That's the avoid the Rams Bowl.
Well, not just that, Jacob. That game gets you the number 2 seed. All right? And being the number 2 seed now means you get the first round game at home, you get the second round game at home. And Detroit, as you guys know, much like Dallas, but not as dominant, a very good home team. And obviously better indoors and outdoors and all that stuff. So beat Minnesota, Dallas beats Miami, and Week 17, the game of the year. And that would be a great. Oh, sorry about that. Got a little excited. Not the first time that's happened to me. A little premature there. That being the case. That being the case. Like these. What I want to tip my cap, if I may.
To who?
There's a no-name guy in the NFL that I'm going to now expose in a good way. I'm going to flip my shirt up. If you guys can see this. You see my shirt? I'll come
I don't
over
think
here real
everybody
quick.
can see it.
You see this shirt here?
Yes, I do.
See, it says naughty.
Yeah.
And then it says nice.
When did you discover that?
Just now.
Okay.
Just now. I was playing with my whatever. That being the case, okay. There's a guy that works in the NFL. His name is Howard Katz. He's not a household name. I apologize for putting him on blast, as the kids say.
Yeah.
He is solely responsible for the schedule for every team in the NFL. He decides the schedule, the where and when, the dates, all that stuff, right? He has done a brilliant job this year.
Okay.
Because
Giving Howard a clap?
yes. Because the last 3 weeks,
So many
every
games
the game of the year. And that's a byproduct of great scheduling. So great job by Katz and the NFL right there.
Good job,
I love
Katz.
it. There you go.
We have 2 games of the year just this week. Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. That's
And
a lot.
Christmas.
But we do have eggnog, so we'll be good. All right, coming up, we've not mentioned the Kansas City Chiefs just yet, but we're flying past.
Just ripping it.
There he is.
Patty!
There he is. No, don't stop.
Oh, Pat.
are the Kansas City Chiefs still? Hey, welcome back to the Carton Show. Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas and all that good stuff. Raiders defensive back Jack Jones. I know you never heard of him, but he said something interesting, so we're going to play it for you. Talked about how to stop Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and he invoked the great memory of the late legendary Harry Houdini. Listen to this.
We're not worried about him. It's Patrick Mahomes we got to stop. You know, the magician. You stop the magician, then the act is over.
I get what he's trying to say.
Let me take that literally first. I suppose if the magician's not allowed to do his thing, there's no show.
Right.
So I'm with you on that. I might ask Jack Jones, since he's been with Las Vegas, have you ever beaten the Kansas City Chiefs? How often has that happened? Since Patrick Mahomes became the starting quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. I can tell you I don't need two hands. I could be like, the guy going after Dr. Richard Kimball, the one-arm man. I don't need the second arm to count how many times the Raiders have beaten the Chiefs since Patrick Mahomes became the starting quarterback. That being said, he's right. Especially this year when no one else has really stepped up to be the Robin to his Batman, and Kelsey's not having the type of year we always expect him to have. And we've talked every single week about the dropsies, right?
Sure.
So he happens to be right.
Yeah, but you got Nicole Hartman coming back. Hopefully that's a factor for them. Also, Rasheed Rice has come along as well. But if you're defensively for the Raiders, man, outside of Max Crosby, who do you got?
Yeah, right.
Who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop the show? You don't have anybody. So.
And all due respect to Antonio Pierce, the few wins that they've gotten with him as the coach have come against bad teams.
Yeah.
Right? They beat the Jets, they beat the Giants, and Chargers maybe, I think, was their other win. Mm-hmm. So they've done what a lot of teams have done. I'm not knocking Antonio for that. There's a clear group of bad football teams this year. And the good teams, even the average teams, like Las Vegas, have feasted on the carcasses of those bad teams. That's real.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes he wants to get this team in the right direction. He wants to get this team moving, especially when playoffs around the corner. I don't think the Raiders have a chance. I think it's a non-factor. It's going to be over early.
The Chiefs are going to win the division, but they kind of had that sewn up, not statistically, but for a month now.
Yeah.
But they still have a chance for the number one seed. And they have a lot to play for. So this isn't just, hey, let's get ready for the playoffs. There is a roadmap in which the Chiefs win out, and they end up as the number one seed. Now, I'm not predicting this is going to happen, but this is not unfathomable.
Yeah, I think, leave that up there for a second. I think the one thing we can all agree on is the bottom row there.
Yes.
The Kansas City Chiefs are not going to lose another regular season game because they're not playing anybody any good, all due respect to the great job Browning has done in Cincinnati.
Yep.
The Chiefs are going 1-2-3-0. They are going to be a 12-5 team. They are going to be a division winner. So it's 1, 2, 3, or 4. They're not going to be fourth. It's going to be 1, 2, or 3 most likely, right?
Yep.
The other ones are absolutely plausible. Can't guarantee them. Can't say I feel strong that's going to happen that way. But if I told you that the Ravens lost to San Francisco, matter of fact, they've already said they're going to, that happens. I told you that Dallas is going to beat Miami. So the first part of it, everybody's good.
Yep.
That leaves the last 2 weeks. And then, of course, the question is...
Miami win in Baltimore is tricky.
Well, and that's the key thing for Kansas City.
I can't believe you sleeping on the Ravens.
Kansas City needs Miami to beat Baltimore. Baltimore beats Miami, then Kansas City's not going to get the number one seed. So it plays out. And by the way, that's not even that crazy right there.
No.
It's really not that crazy. I don't think it happens that way exactly because I think the Bills beat the Dolphins in Week 18 and they win the division, but still fun to talk about it.
Yep.
We say a lot of things on this show, and we should be held accountable for the things we say.
That's true.
Right? Or because we hold everybody else accountable.
People are watching us, Greg.
It's like that sweater. You'll answer for that sweater for a long time in your career.
Great sweater.
I
think you look. This is the best you've ever looked.
Yeah.
This is the best you've ever looked.
Yeah. Like, next time you meet with Kurt Menefee and you're like, I want to be on Sundays, he's going to be like, the sweater. Sorry about that. So we have a little something as, if you're not new to the show, you're very well aware of it. It's the Carton Show Wall of Receipts.
Let's do it.
All right. So, the Wall of Receipts.
We got a lot of receipts.
We'll just give you an update on where we were. Willie Cologne, congratulations. you're the guy that said Joe Flacco would ball out for the Cleveland Browns.
And he had.
I can't
I'll give you a
believe
top
that
there.
happened. I cannot believe that
Appreciate
actually happened.
All right, let's see. Jacoby, where are you on this board here? You said the Steelers will finish under 500.
And they're starting Mason Rudolph.
And
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Mason Rudolph and all the dysfunction. Jacoby might pay that one off.
Oh, okay.
All right, which brings us to this week. Week 16 in the NFL. Wall of receipts. Jacoby, what do you got?
I'm going with the National Basketball Association.
Oh.
Now, this season, we're
talking football,
We're
Toby.
fully locked into the football season, but there's some things that are quietly happening in the NBA that need to be pointed out. And here, they have the best record in the league. They are number 1 in the Western Conference. But I'm going to say this. The Timberwolves are absolutely fugazi. This happens every year. Some team starts hot. It's still Karl Anthony Towns. It's still Rudy Gobert. I love Anthony Edwards. But I'm going to say right now here on December 22nd, this will pay off by the end of the year, the Timberwolves are fugazi.
Okay.
Post it to the board.
That's not what we said.
How do we say it?
Put it on the wall.
Put it on.
Sorry. All right, let's say it together.
Post it to the board.
I like how you looked at me like, post it, hit it, put it there.
Put that thing, post it.
Put it on the board.
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 All right. Please do an NFL one.
Listen, I've talked about this team a lot these last couple of weeks, and it's solely because of one man, and that's old man Joe Flacco. And the fact that he's come off the couch, he's playing with so much youth. The team is believing in him. He has stabled the ship. This team is going to the playoffs, and they're going to win a game this year. The Browns in the playoffs, divisional round, they're going to win the playoffs. So I got the Browns to the playoffs. Win. Put it on the board!
All right, I'll get it right at some point.
There you go.
All right, Willie Colon, Browns will win a playoff game this year.
No chance.
Yeah.
By the way, I should point out, Plaxico Burress, who's going to join us in a few minutes, he said the Bears would win the NFC North.
No.
What a loser.
That is,
I said the 49ers would go 20-0 this year.
Yes.
I came close. I never said the Jets will make the playoffs.
oh, man. That
Damn it.
sucks.
And Greg doesn't know football. All right, mine for the wall of receipts. I've said it all week, so I'm just gonna continue what I've been saying all week, and that is the Dallas Cowboys and Dolphins are mirror images of each other. Great home teams, average road teams. None of them have a big win on the road this year, or what we call that signature road win. I think the Cowboys get theirs this weekend. I love the Dallas Cowboys. This was almost, by the way, a bagel and locks pick. That's how strongly I feel about it. The problem is that there's 3 games I love this week, and it can only be one game that fits bagels and locks. So it goes on the wall of receipts, and as we like to say, put it on the board! Yes! Got it wrong again. Put it on the board. Cowboys beat Miami in Miami, and they get their signature win
Nice. There you go.
of the season. So that is our wall of receipts.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's not a lot of shows that hold each other accountable in that manner. There's not a lot of that. It's called honest broadcasting.
There's a lot of good, though. There's more green. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right. We're a fiduciary.
You did say the Niners will go, I'm just looking at them.
All right, we're gonna restart everything.
Okay.
We're gonna bring out Plaxico Burress with his ugly sweater, and we'll start talking about Dallas and Miami, and we'll break it down and let the guys do their thing. What does Dallas have to do to beat Miami, and what does Miami have to do to beat the Dallas Cowboys? It's a winter wonderland here on the Carton Show. Merry Christmas. All right, welcome back to the Carton Show. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you. Plaxico.
I was outside watching you go from naughty to nice.
Yes.
So I had to let it slide. You know what I mean? So I had to get lit.
He's got lights on. What?
Man.
When Plax walked in, I thought it was Principal Joe Clark from Patterson High, to be honest with you. You used to call me Crazy Joe. Well, now you can call me Batman. Anyhow, everyone's in the Christmas spirit. Willie Colon, Plaxico Burress, David Jacoby, of course. And welcome to the program. Great to have you here. And a little something we call mid-show headlines is up. And here's Jacoby's got them all.
And our number 1 headline is not just the game of the week. It is Game of the Year. The Cowboys head into Miami. And Craig, you've been on it since Monday. You called the Cowboys win. And you've been so confident all week. What makes you so confident in the Cowboys in this matchup?
Well, I'm special. I see the game in a manner that nobody else does. Most people are going to tell you, well, the Dolphins are going to win. They're 1.5 favorites. They're at home. The Cowboys are an under 500 road team. The Dolphins haven't lost at home. Cowboys don't have a good signature win on the road. And back and forth and back and forth. I'm not buying that rhetoric. I think you have the Miami Dolphins off a breeze, a walk in the park against the Jets. Obviously, the Cowboys didn't have the same luxury last week, and this is kind of a rebound game for them off the embarrassing loss to the Buffalo Bills. And they know what's up. They read the same stuff we read, and they hear what we're saying, and that is, oh, yeah, you're great at home, but that show don't play on the road. I'm also concerned about the Miami Dolphins because when you really start breaking them down, and looking at what they do well, obviously the high-powered offense, Waddle and Hill, unstoppable duo right now. The emergence of a two-headed monster running the ball when they're both healthy in Achane, and of course Raheem Mostert, the all-time Dolphin record setter for touchdowns in the season. Their defense is beatable.
Yep.
They're susceptible to the big play. And I think Dallas gets back to the offense that put them in a position to maybe be the number one seed, or even at least to win the NFC East. And I think you get the best road game of the year out of Dallas.
Yeah, but it all comes down to the health of this offensive line. They got to figure that out, because if the Miami Dolphins do one thing, get after Dak Prescott, that's what gives them a fighting chance, right? So if you're this offense that we love from Dallas, we love Dak, we love CeeDee Lamb and everything, you got to figure out how can you keep Dak upright and keep him straight, because if they can't, man, it's going to be an ugly game.
I think the Achilles heels for the Dallas Cowboys this season is the defense. Everybody knows about the pass rush and DeMarcus and Michael Parsons being one of the best players in the league at his position. And even though DeRon Bland is having a year in the NFL like no other defensive back in history, they still just give up a lot of big plays in the passing game. I just don't think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to be able to slow down the Miami Dolphins passing game this weekend. And listen, the Miami Dolphins are going to beat the Dallas Cowboys this weekend.
You're going to be wrong on that. But listen,
I'm telling you right now, it's a bigger game for Tua than it is for Dak Prescott.
Oh, I disagree completely. I think they're both in the very same spot. They've both been accused.
All the pressure on the Cowboys to win.
Yeah, but they've both been accused of, where are you in the biggest spot of all? What are you going to do with the playoffs on the line? I think this is a signature game for both quarterbacks, much like we'll talk, obviously later on, the Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson matchup, which I think is the MVP Bowl. This game is about, does Dak Prescott show up in a big spot? Does Tua show up in a big spot? And when you brought up injuries, I think it's a very good point. Half the Dolphins roster is beat up.
Yeah.
Specifically, their offensive line.
Yep.
They don't have a healthy offensive lineman right now. Obviously, a lot of guys are going to play, but they're banged up.
Yeah, and that's the thing about too. But same thing for the Cowboys. You talk about Zach Martin, they're All-Pro, Tyron Smith, they're All-Pro left tackle. Both of those guys are dang. One has a thigh, one has a back injury. Overall, man, but for Dak to be who he needs to be on the road, they got to be able to protect him too. Because one thing you don't want Dak to do is to be able to have to scramble a bunch. The run game is not as prolific as the Dolphins, and so they make hay with him in the pocket.
I want to walk you through this also. For the Miami Dolphins, Wednesday's practice did not practice. Achane, Armstead, Hill, Xavier Howard, Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson, Raheem Mostert, Liam Eichenberg.
That means nothing.
Everybody practice.
The Dolphins,
the kickers.
There's one thing that you know that is a good trait for a football team. If they're good at home or if they're good on the road. And Dallas is exceptionally bad on the road, and that's not going to help them in the playoffs because they are going to have to travel in the playoffs if they want to have a chance to get to the NFC Championship game.
I think the Cowboys
or the Super Bowl. In 2007, we were terrible at home. We went 10-6 and we lost 5 home games. So we got to the point to we were like, man, listen, we should just play all our games on the road.
Right.
Because we won all our road games.
Right.
But going into the playoffs for the Dallas Cowboys, for them to be a bad road team is not a good
Which is why this is such a big game for them. Obviously, and their schedule's not easy, nor is Miami's, to be fair. I just think at some point, if you're a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and we all agree they've got the talent to be, you got to get a big win on the road. I'm assuming when you talk about that 07 team, obviously I was here doing radio, so I remember it very, very well. even that first playoff game against Tampa, people were like, I don't know. And you guys were like, we ain't worried about Tampa.
Right.
Because you guys were so confident that you could take that show on the road because you could also run the ball. Well, guess what? Miami can run the ball.
Yes, it can.
They got to commit to it, but they can run the ball. We're not sure if the Dallas Cowboys can run consistently. That's the difference.
Oh, we are sure the Dallas Cowboys cannot run consistently. They haven't had one big running game, and I'm glad you brought up the Miami run game because we always focus on Tua and Tyreek and what they do through the air. I just watched the Bills absolutely gash this defense.
100%
because
right.
they didn't even need to throw a pass. And I think that Miami saw that too. And I think that if I was the Dallas Cowboys, I think they're going to win. But the one way they can lose is if they can't shore up the run defense. Because we saw.
Yeah, but I think that plays in the Cowboys' favor. Because they got exposed, for sure they did. And obviously we know Josh Allen only completed 7 passes and they scored 30 points, so they got exposed. Well, you got a bunch of professionals in that locker room. To me, there are very few times in sports where a loss helps you in the long run. And I think the way they lost to the Buffalo Bills, a game I predicted correctly, of course, is going to serve them very well for this weekend's game against Miami.
Yeah, I don't think the Miami Dolphins are going to go into this game and try to establish a running game. They can run the football, but I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to struggle defensively when the Miami Dolphins spread them out on offense.
Well, then they can't win. If you're right, they cannot win.
Let's tell you.
The way the Buffalo Bills beat the hell out of Dallas Cowboys in a run game, it would behoove them if they don't run the ball. The bottom line is, the issue with them is Jonathan Hankins is hurt, right? You talk about Michael Parsons on the edge, he's not dominant there. They got to put him at the linebacker position where he can be a free runner and make plays. Overall, if you're the Dolphins right now, run the damn ball.
Run the ball.
Like the Buffalo Bills gave you the blueprint on how to beat the Cowboys. Come downhill between the tackles, hand the ball off to Marshall the H-hand, and get busy. Like this doesn't have to be a Tua show.
Well, I tell you who else is on the spot here, at least for me, and that's Mike McDaniel. I love Mike McDaniel. I love that last video I just saw you before the Jet game of him calling himself out at some guys. I thought that was a great video to put out there. But, he's the wonder kid. Mm-hmm. He's got this great offense and all the motion you've talked about a lot, which confuses defenses and, obviously gives them opportunities to score boatloads of points. But you've got Dallas, right? You've got Baltimore, I think the best team in the AFC. And then you've got the Bills. You're going to learn a hell of a lot about Mike McDaniel as a coach, as much as you're going to learn about Tua in a big spot. Look, it's great when you're loading up points against the Chargers, the Patriots, the Broncos earlier this year, the Giants, the Panthers, the Patriots, the Jets, the Raiders, all bad teams, all bad teams.
Right.
But now you're playing 3 playoff teams. Let's see what you got.
Hey, for the last 3 games of the season for the Miami Dolphins on this schedule right here, I think the Dallas Cowboys is the most winnable game for them.
Really?
Really?
You don't think they go to Baltimore and win in Baltimore?
And I do not think they beat the Buffalo Bills in Week 18 because if the Buffalo Bills in Week 18, that's going to be their playoff game.
Well, they're all playoff games.
Into the division. I'll say this, Craig. One thing I love about how confident you are in your pick of the Cowboys, one thing I think is so brilliant about what you're doing, no show Monday. No show Monday.
Yeah, like you guys didn't forget. Let me introduce you to something called the internet. There's people in LA right now that just found a video of us from January who are yelling and screaming about me because I said the Rams were a poop show, right? In January. And they're like, what do you have to say for yourself now, big mouth? I'm like, nothing. I have nothing. You got
Moving
me.
on to our second headline and our second, not just game of the week, our second game of the year. Game of the year of the week, of course, talk about number 1 seed in the AFC, traveling to San Francisco to play the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Oh, Billy.
And what needs to happen for the Ravens to pull off this upset?
All right, I'm going to pretend for a minute that Fox hired me to be the analyst on game day, okay?
Oh, great.
It's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
It's a pet peeve of mine. If they limit the turnovers, if they block really well up front, and if Brock Purdy plays mistake-free football, they'll win. Now, conversely, if Lamar Jackson runs for more than 13 yards, if they block for him up front, and there's no fourth quarter turnovers, well, then I think Baltimore's going to come out on top. Turnovers, blocking, scoring. Those are the 3. Right? I don't even know what your question was because I got.
I have a new question for you.
Good.
If you had to win one game
Yeah.
Would you rather have Brock Purdy or Lamar Jackson?
Oh, you're setting me up to
the
fight
water
with
cooler
Plaxico
talk.
Burress.
It's all water cooler talk.
Listen, I go with the machine. Brock the Machine Purdy, best quarterback in football right now.
Right.
In the moment. No disrespect to my guy Patrick Mahomes. And I love Lamar Jackson. You're putting me in a bad spot. But you asked the question. My job is to answer the question, right? Brock Purdy is playing better football than every quarterback in the NFL. It's why he's going to be the MVP. It's why the Niners are going to win the Super Bowl. And it's why we call him the Machine.
Hey, you know the most beautiful thing about this?
Look at that. The Machine.
There's so much football left for the rest of the season, and we can sit up here and talk about everything.
You got a shirt,
what's going to happen. None of it's going to happen the way that we said it is.
Well, you speak for yourself, Vice.
Going into the playoffs.
I'm shocked that you're not impressed with Lamar Jackson.
I am. This is a thing.
You watched what he did in Jacksonville last year? There's a highlight where him dipping and diving, dinking and dunking, scrambling and running. There's nothing a man can't do with the football.
You're talking about Brock Purdy is playing the best football in the league.
Lamar Jackson's arguably
but you don't have him on the set.
Yeah, he's arguably
You
playing.
don't even have him on the set, so you don't even believe it.
Because he's in my car. He's going home with Daddy.
You call him the machine, I'm going to call him the system.
Ashton Jackson's arguably playing the best football of his career.
Really, you guys put me in a bad spot. I love Lamar Jackson. I've been on Lamar Jackson's side this entire year. I was on Lamar's side when I thought he deserved the money.
Yes.
You asked me a question. He said to me, Craigie, who would you have? Lamar Jackson or Brock Purdy? By saying Brock, I'm not dissing Lamar.
You are.
No, you can't be wrong about your opinion. You think Brock Purdy. We all just happen to feel like Lamar Jackson is the right answer.
You guys are all racist.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I love
Merry Christmas. Merry
Christmas.
Woo, happy Kwanzaa.
Welcome home.
Look, the deal. Listen, he is an MVP caliber quarterback. He's having a great year.
on.
I would love to have a Lamar Jackson quarterbacking my team for the next decade, right? But you asked me a question. You guys went to my car?
Wow.
What's up, machine?
Hey, where are your hands right now, Craig?
Like I said, he is the machine.
Right.
Takes some time. Look, the reality is this, okay? He's playing great football. Lamar Jackson's playing great football. I just think right now the San Francisco offense is a better offense than the Baltimore Ravens offense.
Nobody's defeating that.
Now, I'll be fair. If Lamar Jackson was the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, they may not have lost the game this year, and he would be the MVP. It wouldn't be close.
Yeah.
So
You're
I
saying he's a
get
better
it.
quarterback.
I'm with you. In the moment, right now,
just
he
answered our
quarterbacks the Ravens. He quarterbacks the Niners. I want this guy.
So he's not the best quarterback in the league, is what you just said.
Talent-wise, no, Lamar's a bit more talented quarterback. He's just playing better football.
Okay.
That's all.
So those are two of the hottest teams in the league.
And
Let's
I'll be
go.
here on Tuesday to answer any questions you people might have.
Oh, they'll be coming. They'll find you. They'll find you.
Moving on to one of the coldest teams in the league, the Philadelphia Eagles. There's a lot of questions to be answered for the Eagles.
Fumble, Jalen Hurts,
in particular, that man, Jalen Hurts.
Fumble.
And he explained the importance of his role on this team. Here is the quarterback of the Eagles.
When you think about holistically about the things we want to accomplish and everything that we're trying to do, that all runs through me. That all starts with me. And so when I say we, I mean me, because I'm the point guard out there. I'm the one that makes everything go, and I'm the guy that everyone trusts in to do and set the pace.
So after you hear those comments, and they've lost 3 games in a row, the question has to be asked: is Jalen Hurts hurting the Eagles with his play?
I mean, sometimes, but he is right. You know, Jalen Hurts, like any quarterback, it's not unique to Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. If your franchise quarterback plays his ass off, you win most of those games, right? If he plays like crap, you lose most of those games. Nothing's 100-0, obviously. But here's what I love about that, because that's really mature. He was frustrated and emotional in the moment when he said and kind of lashed out without using any names last week after the come from behind loss against Seattle, where he questioned the commitment of other guys on the squad. And, of course, the Philadelphia media runs with that like we would have here in New York. Yeah. Obviously, if your leader and captain and quarterback questions the commitment, his words, not mine, of guys in the locker room, that is a legitimate story because he said it. So, obviously, being really mature now, he's not going to give you any more meat to eat. Yeah. He's now going to try to walk it back and say, look, I'm always talking about myself. no one's ever questioned that kid's commitment. Obviously, his work ethic is unmatched by most other people in the league, and he recognized that he stirred Tempest Nest right there and had people talking about and trying to figure out, because this is what the media does. Well, he questioned the commitment of other guys. Now let's go through the roster and try to figure out who he's talking about. And that becomes a problem. So I give him credit for that.
Yeah, I push back a little bit from the standpoint is it's okay to question the commitment of other guys when you're in a 3-game losing streak, right? Because when you're the quarterback of this franchise and you're the guy in the building every day, the first one in, the first one out, and if you don't see guys who you need and depend on Sunday in the same foxhole with you, it is called.
Yeah, the problem is he also has a lot of turnovers. So if he was playing perfect ball, different story.
But I don't think he said anything about that.
No, but play it out. Like, so if I'm a guy, if I think you're talking about me.
Sure.
And we're both type A guys in the locker room. You guys live this, right? Yep. There's enough guys I've met in the NFL who are now going to come up to you.
Right.
And question, are you talking about me?
Yeah, but you only...
And here's why I say it. You better watch what you're saying, because I'm not the guy that just threw 2 picks in the fourth quarter.
100%, but you only feel guilty or you feel some type of way about it if you feel like you're not doing your job.
That's probably fair.
But if I feel like if I'm doing my job, I'm not going to go to you and say, hey, man, are you talking about me? If anything, if I'm A.J. Brown and Goddard and Kelsey, and by the way, I think the next guy up who did a great job of it was Jason Kelsey. Because he said, hey, you're right. We got to figure this out together. Like, the commitment level has to step up. What we were in the beginning of the season is not what we are right now, and we're in a bad spot. So for me, I don't feel any type of way, but if I'm Jalen Hurts, I do sit back and say, hey, man, there's more of us that need to come to the rally, right? And it doesn't seem like, it seems like I'm bearing all this, because look at A.J. Brown with the tweets, right? He didn't say, hey, man, I got to do a better job on this play. We got to do this. I got to find a way to get open. He goes, why y'all yelling at me?
Right.
And he also said the quarterback missed me.
Right. Exactly. So it's like it seems like he's the only one searching for an answer. He's not being sensitive about it. Like, to your point, he's being a leader.
Yeah. He's telling the truth. Normally, after football games and, after losing efforts, you say things after the game that you wouldn't say during the week after you go in and watch the film.
Right.
So now you had a chance to sit down and observe your guys and make this and say that, you know what, we did have guys who were going out and playing hard and being committed. So for Jalen Hurts, he has owned it. And maybe them guys losing these 3 games is like the San Francisco 49ers when they lost those 3 games. They can run all 5 in a row.
Schedule-wise allows it for sure. I think they're going to win their last 3. Because they have the New York Giants twice and the Arizona Cardinals. Here's the other problem. Jalen Hurts is a coach that's now under fire, and for good reason. And you come out earlier in the week or last week and you say, that the quarterback's play is now, what's the word again? Discouraging, right? And then you come out after a loss against Seattle and say the play call to try to win the game was to hope the refs gave us a pass interference call. Like, the coach all of a sudden is now taking on some order as well. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do. Look, they're 2 touchdown favorites against the New York Giants, and for good reason.
Yeah.
All right? I know Tommy DeVito's a great story.
Right.
The Giants are in harm's way this weekend.
I'm going to say this. Listen, the Philadelphia Eagles, they win their last 3.
Yep.
They win the division.
Yep.
They get 2 home games, and they end up back in the NFC Championship.
Certainly on the table.
Yeah,
absolutely on the table. And then they get waxed by San Francisco again in San Francisco. As a reminder, we own you. That's exactly what that is. All right, coming up next on the show, they're saying something to me, but I can't hear them, so I'm just going to read it like you guys are. Are the Buffalo Bills getting hot at the right time?
Damn right they are.
Yes. That seems like a pretty obvious question to answer. The answer is yes, but we'll talk about it anyway right after this. All right, welcome back to the Carton Show. We talk a lot on the show this time of year about what gifts quarterbacks normally get their offensive linemen, but something happened in Buffalo I've never heard of before. In my entire life, having traveled and covered multiple NFL teams, I've done this kind of job for 30 years. The Buffalo Bills offensive linemen and tight ends bought Josh Allen a gift.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they got
he almost flipped it over.
And he has no idea how to drive it.
None.
Shockingly and all right there. So,
Start.
I guess getting $200 million wasn't enough. They decided to pitch it because they recognized as that guy goes, our playoffs hopes go. So there he is trying to run down a couple offensive linemen that aren't getting the job done. But first time in a new wheel, right?
But what's the flip side of that? What did he get them?
Yeah, that we don't know yet.
So they all chipped in evenly amongst the offensive line and tight end?
Plax, you're asking a lot of great questions.
You know what? I guess the message that they're sending Josh Allen is, you know what? It's gonna be a rough ride. we are not out of the woods yet.
Right.
Well, they're not out of the woods just yet, but they can actually go from out of the woods into the playoffs and even win the division still.
Right.
That's on the table as they're 12.5-point favorites this week against the Chargers. If the Bills win out and the Dolphins either lose out or split their next two games and then lose to the Bills in Week 18, the Buffalo Bills are AFC East champions for the fourth consecutive year. And the Miami Dolphins would have one of the great collapses in the sports history.
And what did I say at the beginning of the season?
I have no idea.
Who would win the AFC East? You were saying Jets, and what did I say?
Bills.
Buffalo Bills.
Did I really say the Jets?
Yes, you did.
It was a long time.
And I said the Buffalo Bills will win
And
the
they let
AFC
me do this
East.
show still?
Aaron Rodgers could still walk.
But what's crazy about it is it would be viewed as a terrible collapse, of course, by Miami and one of the great late season runs by the Buffalo Bills. But to be fair, the Dolphins have a killer schedule.
Yeah.
You know, that's the reality of it. And they feasted on bad teams. But with all the dysfunction we've read about and heard about in Buffalo, the fact that the division title is still legitimately on the table for them is really something crazy.
Yeah, but I think it's credit to Josh Allen and the rest of this ball cup figuring themselves out, right? When you fired Ken Dorsey and when they were at 5-5 and the team was on fire and they were talking about all this stuff, they said there's only one main theme right going forward. Win, right? They put all their egos to the side. They got it done. They figured it out. And there's no identity with this team. They're a great running team that goes through James Cook and Josh Allen. As long as he doesn't turn over the ball and they play big-time defense, they come out on the good side of things. So they just got to continue to go forward.
I mean, so is Ken Dorsey really the scapegoat?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
For offensively,
100%.
Ken Dorsey watches every Bills game so much.
By the way, if the Bills do win out and A, get into the playoffs, but B, possibly do the unthinkable, which is now win the AFC East, the firing of Ken Dorsey will be one of the great firings in the history of the sport.
Seriously.
Wow.
And
that's tough for me to believe that, the way that Josh Allen was playing early in the season, he wasn't playing good football. He was turning the football over.
Right.
So you can't just sit here and say that Ken Dorsey was the main reason why the Buffalo Bills were
Except that if you start winning once you make that move.
That's hard. That's what everybody's going to say.
Right, and Josh Allen starts playing better, that should be on him,
And
but
they
it's
will
not.
win the NFC East, but I wouldn't call it a collapse for the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, you can't go from number one seed to out of the playoffs.
I would call it a collapse.
Hey, Baltimore, Dallas, and Buffalo for the last 3 weeks of the season, I don't call it a collapse. They're just playing tough
Well,
football
I'd say
teams.
this: if they do lose out against those three teams, all playoff teams, then they would have lost in the playoffs. Because it shows you they're not a good enough team to beat playoff teams. They haven't all year.
Yeah, but the problem is, look how we view the Dolphins, right? They're number one in offense and passing offense. They averaging 31 points a game. The fact that they've done all that between Tua and Tyreek talking MVP, and they get wiped like this and they don't make the playoffs, it's a collapse. It is a joke. And so it's heartbreaking because every time McDaniel steps on the presser, you're like, dude, like with the time, you said it earlier, when there's a time for you to put on your wizard hat and be the best you can be, you crumble. So nobody's going to take you seriously. So they have to win.
Yeah, you just said it. How do we beat the Miami Dolphins? We will not respect the Miami Dolphins until they beat the Dallas Cowboys this weekend.
That's right. I
agree. You can officially say that the Miami Dolphins are for real.
By the way, they got to go to Baltimore and get it done.
And then here comes the problem. They've played with zero pressure all year because the AFC East was so down. You know, for the first 2 months of the year, the Jets suck. The Bills were all over the place. Obviously, New England sucks as well. All of a sudden, if I'm right, and Dallas does go to Miami this weekend and beats the Miami Dolphins, the pressure that's now on the Dolphins, and, oh, by the way, go to Baltimore against the top 5 defense and let me know how you do there.
Right. Seriously. And this is where you have to, and not to just beat a dead horse, but Tua, man, if there was a time not to open your mouth, was this week.
That's what I said.
The bottom line is, because now you're going to have everybody say, oh, those receipts, let's see what those receipts look like.
If looking back on it, if you're Tua, the right time to talk some smack
is when you're in the playoffs.
Yes, obviously, but if you're going to talk a little trash during the year and tell people I have receipts, blah, 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 do it before you play the Jets. Because you know you're dropping 30 on the Jets.
He better be ready to return some of that stuff.
That's exactly right.
100%. Yeah.
I don't know.
And those lines alone at Christmas.
Yeah. All right, listen, from that, and one of the very many games of the year, to a little something we like to call Over, Under. And Jacoby's got it, and I'm very excited. Go ahead.
We're focusing on that game of the year, Craig, and we're going to start with you. This is the real over-under on the internet. Lamar Jackson rushing yards. Over or under 56.5.
Lamar Jackson rushing yards against San Francisco. Oh, that's easy.
Best linebacking core in football.
You said a bad number there, buddy. You said a bad number.
I just got it from the internet.
You said, well, the internet's stupid. Under.
Oh!
Lamar Jackson is going to tease 900-plus yards this year on the ground. Theoretically, he could even get 1,000. Probably won't. But you're not running for 60 yards, essentially, against that defense. Not on the table. Not going to happen.
Wow.
Under.
It's because you say it, Craig. That don't make it true.
There we go.
It's over. What do you mean? There's nobody that can keep up with Action Jackson, especially when it's time to extend plays and move forward. They're not gonna let him stretch the ball down the field with his arm. He has to run.
You know what? I gotta agree with my guy.
Come on.
Over. Hey, listen, because the San Francisco 49ers want to go into this game with the same approach that they played defense and trying to slow down Jalen Hurts. It's a mistake.
Craig, I agree with you. Lamar Jackson doesn't look to run like he used to look to run. He doesn't.
They have designed runs for him.
And they have the best linebackers waiting for him.
Yeah. Okay.
Look, I'm not saying he's going to run for negative yards, but you asked me he's going to run for essentially 60 yards.
But look, it's over 56. He's not going to run for.
Spying Lamar Jackson is not spying Jalen Hurts.
He leads quarterbacks.
Fair enough. I got you on that. I got it.
He leads quarterbacks in rushing. He has over 700 yards rushing. You don't think he's going to get over 60 yards?
It's so hard for me to be at a table where I'm the only guy that's right.
Oh,
I agree with you.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry, yeah. But you're like hosting the game, so it's like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Both of you guys are wrong.
All right,
Next one, Willie, going to you.
Let's do it.
Because it's your guy.
Oh, man, I didn't talk about
Joe Flacco.
I
Yeah.
don't even know the number.
Passing yards against the Texans, over or under 246
Oh,
and a
my
half.
God. I'm going over 300. What are you talking about? It's over. Joe Man Flacco's going to light it up. The man's playing with extreme confidence, the youthfulness, the enthusiasm, the youthness.
I know him. I grew up with him.
Great basketball player.
The Delaware Blue Hen stops here. He will not throw for over 246 yards on the D'Amico Ryans defense, the Houston Texans.
I'm with you. I think it's under and under by a lot.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Look, Joe Flacco's been a cute little story in Cleveland.
Cute.
Everybody wants to forget about the fact that he leads the league in interceptions since
Well,
he
we
got
don't
the
have
starting
to talk
job.
about that part.
With the Browns because he's overcome all those bad
Yeah.
interceptions by playing good football. And I will say this. I think it's under by a lot. I don't think he throws for 200 yards in this game against that Texans defense. But I will say this, and I've said it all week. The Joe Flacco, Njoku quarterback tight end combo right now is the best in the entire NFL. So
not Brock to Debo, not Brock to CMC.
A Joe Flacco Case Keenum matchup. That's what we have to look forward to.
Yeah.
Moving on. This is for you, Flax. Kadarius Toney
sucks.
Targets against the Raiders. Over or under 1.5 targets. Famously had a drop that led to an interception against the Patriots.
Targets, not catches?
Targets.
Okay.
So remember how mad Patrick Mahomes was on the sideline.
Bet on that?
You know what?
After the drop.
Hey, I have to say over. You know what? You have to start to build this guy's confidence somewhere.
Oh, Flax.
And it's going to be against my Antonio Pierce-led Raiders, unfortunately. But I believe that, if the Chiefs want to make them run in the playoffs, they have to begin somewhere to trust him, somewhere on the line as a receiver to catch the football. So I'd say over.
Go ahead, Wills.
Yeah, I say he doesn't play. Isn't he dealing with a hip? Right? What are we talking about?
Never go under there.
Yeah, I'm going under.
You're going under.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going over. I think the fact that Kansas City, not just against the Raiders, but then the next 2 weeks after that are playing bad football teams, those are the types of games you can do some things you might not do in a playoff game or against good teams, and that is we're going to make a point of getting Kadarius Toney involved and having him feeling good about himself and his role in the offense going against lesser competition. So I think they make a point of trying to get Kadarius Toney more involved in the offense. I say over.
Over.
Very quickly, Craig, we'll start with you. Look at the Patriots' remaining schedule.
Why?
Okay.
Yep.
This is what they have in the final 3 weeks. They play the Broncos, the Bills, and the Jets.
Loss.
Over or under 0.5 wins for the Patriots for the rest of the season.
Broncos, Bills, Jets?
Broncos, Bills, Jets. Can they get a win?
No. Zero. None.
The Jets get a win.
Bill Belichick walks out a big fat loser. Yes, the New England Patriots stink. Zappy stinks. Mac Jones stinks. Bill Belichick stinks. They all stink. And they can't lose enough. They do not get another win. Like the Denver Broncos being favored by a touchdown is all you need to know about the current state of affairs in New England. The Belichick reign of terror on the AFC is officially over, and we will bury the body as soon as this season is out because the Patriots are done.
Laxus disagrees.
I totally disagree. I gotta say over. I believe that Denver Broncos go 2-1 out of the last 3 games, and they beat the New York Jets in the last game of the season.
Stop it.
Yeah.
By the way, the Jets haven't beaten the Patriots in like 30 years, so I'm going against history.
Yeah, my marker stopped working.
All right, good. I have a big one here. Last final one. This is not an over/under. This is which will be a bigger number? Tyreek Hill touchdowns against the Cowboys, or Tyreek Hill children in 2024?
Oh, I got this. Oh, this is easy.
Wow.
Touchdowns against the Cowboys or children in 2024?
Now remember, Plax, he did win the MOP award this year for the most overworked penis. He has 7 children now, God bless them all, and 3 with 3 different women this year alone. So now it's children or touchdowns.
Can I go?
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Hey, I gotta go over.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, I just think this young man is going to continue to be legendary. Be legendary, Tyreek, on Sunday. Let's go. I'm taking the over.
Yeah, Tyreek loves the kids. I'm granting him 2 more kids. Yeah.
I'm taking it over.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this pen doesn't work, but it's all about the children's.
Yes, right.
And you know what's funny about Tyreek Hill, though? We celebrate Phillip Rivers having 12 kids, but we mock Antonio Cromartie having 7 or 8, and we take shots at Tyreek for having 3 this year with 3 different women. Like, you know, children are our future.
They are.
Right?
Thank you, Tyreek.
Yeah, the more you have,
The more.
I can't. Yeah.
He's a fertile young man.
Yeah. Shoot.
The best sign ever, though, was our friend Antonio Cromartie, who did have a vasectomy, and then 9 months later said
twins.
it didn't work.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Malpractice.
Yeah.
That's called Hall of Fame junk is what that's called. All right, we got much more coming your way. We've got, what's it say right there? Are the Rams. Well, the Rams did play last night, and they took care of business against the New Orleans Saints, and now they're the 6th seed. So looks like the Rams are playing playoff football. Does Detroit want them? Does Dallas want them? Who else might be afraid of the LA Rams right after this? By the way, speaking about Giants-Eagles, you know, the Italian stallion who took the league by storm, Tom DeVito, Giants has started quarterback the rest of the way, did a little trademarking over the last week or so. He had trademarked Tommy Cutlets, and he trademarked the phrase passing paisano. Now, when you file a trademark, you have to say what it's for. And he is now going to start a line of branded chicken, pasta, and pizza sauces. So at some point by next year, you should see a line of Tommy DeVito-inspired chicken and pastas and sauces in your local supermarkets, etc. So, dude, as you guys know, you're a New York athlete who has even a little bit of success, specifically the quarterback, obviously. You can write that meal ticket for the rest of your life, and that's what the kid's going to try to do.
It reminds me when our good friend Charles Oakley started the car washes, right? Even people who didn't even own cars was just showing up and partying at his car wash. Right? They loved the Knicks, they loved Oak, they loved everything. And so happy for Tommy
car wash.
Yeah, he's hanging out.
But I do have a question for you guys, and I'm sorry to spring it on you. Just if there's not an answer, we'll roll through this very quickly. With your great successes here in New York or even in Pittsburgh, et cetera, were you guys ever approached about sponsoring or endorsing a product that was totally like out of left field and whack, and you're like, maybe you did or didn't, but what was the craziest thing you ever got pitched on to try to put your name or likeness on? Do you have anything?
Oh, man, I definitely have one.
You know what? I actually got pitched for the mouthwash. It was called Plax.
Flags.
Oh, I like that.
You didn't do it?
Yeah, it didn't happen.
Never happened?
Yeah,
That would be, I get that one.
Money wasn't right. Money wasn't right. Had a great meeting.
All right, how about you, Wills?
Yeah, I had a guy a while ago, especially the year we ran a Super Bowl. He was trying to decide. It was like a marketing guy. He's like, man, should we go with like a detox agent? So your last name's Colon. They people they said, or they were thinking about like a cologne spray, right? Like
Okay.
the more games you win. So that was a spinoff. I ran away from both of them.
And one that was surprising to me after we won the Super Bowl, Michael Strahan had trademarked G-Man. I couldn't believe that nobody had trademarked.
No one owned the phrase G-Men?
Up to that point, nope.
Really?
And he got it. I was like, you would have thought that somebody would have.
Yeah, that's an easy one, right? Even the government would have had that one.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. All right, let's go from that over to Jacoby and First and Football.
And we start with last night's game. It looks like a good game if you look at the score on the screen there, but it was not. The Rams rolled. And my question for you is are the Rams now the last team a division winner wants to play in the NFC playoffs?
Yeah, like, listen, the division winner, by definition, should be the better team. Now, the NFC South, that doesn't apply to, or the AFC South either, for that matter. But you don't want to play an experienced quarterback playing the team's best football when you first see them in the playoffs. And that, obviously now, with them being the 6th seed, means either the Dallas Cowboys, as of now, or the Detroit Lions are on a collision course to host the LA Rams. Now, there's the notion of house money, right? When you go into a season with no expectations and you make the playoffs and you're on the road and no one thinks all that much of you, and now you're going up against either a Lion team that hasn't won a playoff game in 40 years or a Cowboy team that's got 2 wins in the last decade, right, in the playoffs with Dak Prescott, you play loosey-goosey. The pressure's on them. They're at home. And I will not be surprised if the LA Rams are playing in week 2 of the NFL playoffs.
Yeah, because to your point, because of Stafford, the experience he has and what he's doing with Stafford, excuse me, thank you, Buf. The fact that, the way he's playing and how the connection he has with Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp actually is playing extremely well. And his offensive line, that doesn't get enough credit. They're playing decent, right? And so when everything's starting to work for you offensively and this defense is starting to back you up, man, it's a beautiful thing, man. I just worry about, to your point, man, if you're the Rams right now, you have to continue to stay hungry, right? You can't get complacent this time, especially when you're one of the hottest teams in the NFC. There's no time to kind of say, oh, look at us. You got to remain hungry. Hopefully they can.
Yeah, me after watching the Rams last night offensively, I think they have all the weapons, to make a run into the playoffs. But it all falls back on Matthew Stafford.
Sure.
How consistent can he be? And I'm watching it, making him make this sidearm throw. You don't need to make that throw and put the ball in harm's way because he can go on binges of playing inconsistent football and turn the football over. And I think that's going to be the Achilles heel for this team. How consistent can Matthew Stafford be down the stretch?
Well, I think the Achilles heel for this team, for the Rams, is the kicker, right? That kicker he's troublesome.
Yeah.
He's going to lose them a playoff game. It won't be because of Stratford. It's because of their special teams.
Remember this, though. Look, they've won 5 out of the last 6 games. And we talk glowingly on the show about the Baltimore Ravens, and I know you guys liked them against San Francisco. I like San Francisco. I know the Ravens won that game, and Lamar was fantastic and all that. That was the overtime game they won on the punt return, right? But don't forget, and here's the key to me, even in losing that game, we all saw it. The Rams scored 30 points against that great Ravens defense. Mm-hmm. And when I saw that, even though they lost the game, I said to myself, let me check their schedule real quick, right? Oh, they've got the Saints, that's a win. They've got the Giants, that's a win. And then, of course, it ends for them January 7th against San Francisco in what might be a meaningless game for San Francisco.
They don't play nobody.
The Rams are getting in.
Yeah, I believe they're getting in. Listen, I'm watching offense last night, and this guy Puka Nacua, man, everybody is talking about him now being the rookie of the year in the NFL. So 96 catches and 1,300 yards as a rookie. That is first-team All-Pro production.
And what's crazy, here's the great point you make, is that we've celebrated and talked a lot about some of the other great wide receiver performances this year, notably Tyreek Hill, of course, A.J. Brown, 5 straight games over 130 yards, whatever it was. And he's not the best receiver on that team because we all talk about Cooper Kupp. Right. But the dude is quietly having one of the great rookie years any wide receiver
history.
has ever had.
And that's why I'm glad you said that, because the last guy you said was Flacco to Njoku. Like, when you watch him play.
Well, I view him as a wide receiver.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the quarterback tight end combination of Flacco and Njoku is crazy right now. But you're talking about NFC Rookie of the Year, maybe, certainly on the table.
Oh, yeah.
He's got to get votes. And you have, again, if we all agree it's a quarterback league and a passing league, the Rams have something the other teams do not have. They have a Super Bowl winning quarterback on that side of the field, and that's a lot.
Sure is. Moving on to second down. Let's talk about the Jaguars for a second. Trevor Lawrence is still in the concussion protocol.
Well, then he can't play.
He didn't practice yesterday.
He's done.
So they face the Bucs. Now, let's take a look at his replacement, which would be C.J. Beathard. Let's just take a look at some of his accomplishments over the course of his career.
Yes.
We have his stats right here. And he is 2-10 as a starter. So can C.J. Beathard lead the Jaguars into a win against the red-hot Buccaneers?
If I could just say, when I see those stats, I could have sworn that was a Jet quarterback.
Yeah.
Because that's the stat of a Jets quarterback. Look,
He'll be there next year.
I'm not knocking C.J. Beathard. He's not an NFL quarterback. He knows it. His family knows it. Everybody knows it. The Jaguars are going the exact opposite of last year. They started 2-6, they ended 7-2, and they win a home playoff game when the Chargers collapsed. Well, this year's the exact opposite. Great start, number 1 seed, going to win the division easily, and then all of a sudden, you wake up, they're 8-6, they got the same record as the Texans, they got the same record as the Colts, and now their franchise quarterback, who, by the way, has not played great the last 3 or 4 weeks, is not going to play this weekend.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are fool's gold.
That's right.
That's right. I don't think they make the playoffs.
Good.
I really don't. I don't think they make the playoffs, especially in this division. A 3-way tie for first place. Just a few weeks ago, they were what? 9-3. Now they're 8-6. And not to mention, I really think that Trevor Lawrence, he's not playing well and he's overrated.
Yeah, I think, first of all, every time we say he's not going to play, he ends up playing, right?
He can't play. You're concussion protocol. You can't play.
So was remember Brock Purdy?
He practiced.
He practiced. He didn't practice yesterday. I don't think there's any way Trevor Lawrence, and not that he doesn't want to. He's a tough kid, obviously.
I'm not saying,
Came back from that ankle injury, didn't miss a game. But you're in concussion protocol. You're not playing on Sunday.
Yeah.
If the NFL takes concussion seriously, and we believe they do, you ain't playing on Sunday.
Just like the Detroit Lions and the Jacksonville Jaguars, I don't believe in them.
Yeah,
I don't believe in them either.
They're going up against red-hot Baker Mayfield, and they're favored. And I'm not going to tell you what else to do with their money, but I'll be gambling on the Buccaneers on this one.
Oh, please don't.
I will. I
want you to have clothes to wear. I want you to pay your mortgage.
Right.
So buy more sweaters.
So what you're saying is a possibility that Baker Mayfield can have good back-to-back weekends.
Yes. Wow. Exactly what I'm saying.
Because that happens all the time.
Moving on to third and football in advance of the game of the year between the Ravens and the Niners. Niners head coach Kyle Shanahan talked about the challenge that is slowing down that man, Lamar Jackson.
I mean, it's still the same run scheme. Looks very similar. I think they just mix in a few more passes, more drop back plays and things. And I think he's always been good at that stuff. So he really is good at whatever they decide to do. He's a problem, whatever. So.
He's a problem.
He's worried about this game.
He is.
So my question for you is, if you had to win one game, would you rather have the machine Brock Purdy or Lamar Jackson?
Again, right now in the moment, I'm taking the machine Brock Purdy.
Why?
Why? Because he's quarterback in San Francisco. That's why. And that's who he quarterbacks. That's who he plays for. So I'm taking him. Look, you want to compare numbers? I'll compare numbers all day with you. I win every argument. I got total yards. I got total touchdowns. I got fewer turnovers. What else does the guy got to do for you?
But I'm going to use one of your lines. The stats don't tell the tape, right? The tape tells you where Lamar Jackson is. He's confident. There's no holes in his game right now. The last couple of weeks, he's played out of his mind and like an MVP because of the fact that he's willing to sit in the pocket and deliver the football. A comeback victory at home against the Rams.
You're missing, my dear friend.
What am I missing?
What you're missing is, I know the accolades about Lamar. I don't disagree with you.
Sure.
He's one of my favorite players to watch play, right? What's that got to do with what Brock Purdy does?
The bottom line is now you got to deal with him at home against another MVP quarterback.
Yeah, San Fran's favored by 5.5 for a reason.
And it's dumb. They should not be favored by
Double-digit win.
Listen, everybody that plays San Francisco for the rest of the year or going to San Francisco or if they play on the road is going to be an underdog.
Good,
So
they should be.
the opposing team shouldn't be surprised. But I think for the 49ers this weekend, their physicality will be tested.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will be tested.
That defense is badass.
Yeah, that same Raven team that gave up 31 points to the Rams. San Francisco's worried about that.
And
Sleepless nights, I'm
and
sure.
the same team that the Cleveland Browns beat also.
They got it to field
AFC North football.
I'll say this, they lead the league in sacks, and I want to see how Brock Purdy reacts to that kind of pressure.
I can tell you I was going to act like the machine. That's why his nickname out in San Francisco, we gave it to him, is the machine because he can't be bothered. Oh, no, here comes the rush. What's up? I mean, oh, no, I'm being chased. It's all good. Yo, Debo, boom. There you go. The guy's going to do something that's never been done before.
What is that?
And you're going to view it as a negative because that's who you are.
What's never been done before?
Fewest attempts.
Yeah.
Most yards has never happened in the history
So you think he's
of the
gonna dink and dunk
NFL.
his way out
No,
the game?
exact opposite.
Sounds like someone else
What
great
it
weapons
shows
around
you
him.
is a guy that knows exactly on every pass who. Oh, I got plaques. He's open. I go to the guy with the best hands at the
They're
table.
going to be down early. They're going to have to throw the ball 40 times this
Good.
week.
He'll complete 36 of those passes for 5 touchdowns. And you're going to see after this game. You know, I would put on the king's crown. I'd get the LBJ seat, and I would talk about I just crowned an MVP.
This will be the real MVP. Please stand up.
This is the MVP bowl.
Lamar Jackson is going to have a performance on Monday night to show the world that he's.
And Brock's going to get beat up by this defense. Bottom line.
Thank you, William.
Dude.
Thank you, William.
Matthew Stafford can't walk.
Yeah,
He
listen,
dropped a 31 burger on
But
him.
Plaxico,
the league in sacks.
But Plaxico said it. This team has never been in an absolute dogfight in a phone booth, knuckle to knuckle with any other team like they're going to be against the Baltimore Ravens.
They're going to check that chin.
Check that chin?
Yeah.
Good.
Check that chin come
Check
Monday
it.
night.
I got no problem with it. Check that chin. Check that chin. I'm good with it. And by the way, that game is Monday night. You making frozen margaritas?
That's already happened after the show.
I love a morning margarita. I love a morning
5 o'clock
margarita.
somewhere.
Yeah.
There we go.
After the show.
Moving on to fourth down. Let's go for the fourth down. Why not? Let's talk about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is very confident about his Broncos, not just because they're playing the Patriots, but because of their record and what they have ahead. Here is Russell Wilson somehow maintaining his unlikability.
When we were 1-5, everybody said we were out of it. We're sitting here at 7-7, and I think some people think we're out of it. I don't believe so. We got some good football to play. We're excited about it. We haven't played our best game yet, a collective team. I think that we've played some really great ones.
Great sunlight there in that press conference, but I want to say take a look at their schedule. Their 3 remaining games. Do you think the Broncos win out? It's very doable.
I mean, that's ugly.
No, I don't think they win out.
Really? No?
Really? I don't believe
Where's
in the
the
Denver
law?
They
Broncos.
can't beat the Pats?
Can they beat them? Yeah, of course they can. I'll give you a win against New
Bailey
England.
Zappi,
Chargers?
Stick, and
Listen,
Aiden
Herbert's
O'Connell?
not playing?
You asked the question. I mean, I'm so sorry I answered it.
But it seems like a no-brainer, Craig. Like Raiders led by Aiden O'Connell.
Nothing's a no-brainer with Russell Wilson.
Right.
We don't believe you. You need more people.
Give it to him.
You start off 1-5. I mean, nobody's gonna believe. I mean, you lost to the Jets.
Exactly right.
Nobody believes
right.
in you.
Look, I don't know. I don't think they're going to lose. To New England, they're favored by almost a touchdown
Chargers
for obvious
beat the
reasons.
Stick?
They beat the Chargers 2 weeks ago. Maybe revenge there for the Chargers.
Then you Raiders.
The Raiders only game behind them right now at 6-8. I know they're not playing for anything other than pride and maybe trying to keep Antonio Pierce employed as their head coach. But does anybody really believe in the Denver Broncos? I mean, what are we talking about?
They're 6-2.
They're the
It's an
11th
ugly
seed right
start.
now. I think it's a great turnaround. I give Sean Payton a lot of credit. I give Russell credit. They turned it around. They were terrible. And now they're 500.
But out of all the matchups, Russ is the best quarterback on the field.
Not
like
even close.
Easton Stick, who the hell is
Aiden
that?
O'Connell, Easton Stick, and Bailey Zappi.
Like, what are we talking about?
I would hope so. He is the better quarterback than those guys.
But my point is, that's why you got to guarantee wins.
Not guaranteed. Nothing with Denver's guaranteed
money.
So I would just view it that way. The Denver Broncos are not making the playoffs. Please let's stop that craziness. I know Mark Sharth is upstairs. I don't care. I'll say right to his fat face, too. Guy promised me a pair of sneakers. I'm wearing shoes today. What's going on?
You hate to see it. You hate to see it.
Stink. Wear the sneakers.
Nah, that's my guy. Stink's my guy. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Stink's like a lot to me like James Jones. We make them stars.
Yeah.
They go to other shows.
Oh, that's what happened.
That's what happened. So good knowing you, Plax.
Yeah, Plax, yeah.
Plax will be
Moving on
on
up.
Speak in about a month. All right, we got plenty more of the Christmas fun here as we get ready for the big weekend. We got one of the games of the year, of course, the Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins. Which quarterback's got more pressure? Is it Tua or is it Dak? Right after this. Let's get to a little something that we like to call for real or Fugazi. Forget about it. All right, we'll start with you, Willie Colon.
Let's do it.
Tua Tagovailoa has more to prove than Dak Prescott does in their matchup this weekend. For real or Fugazi?
Totally for real. Like the bottom line, man, when you talk about receipts, man, you have to show up. You got 3 hard, tough playoff teams ahead of you, and right now you have to prove that you can carry this team to victory. It's all on your shoulders. Bottom line, can you get it done? It's for real.
Tua's got more to prove than Dak. You with that?
I gotta say for real. I gotta agree with the big guy beside me. Listen, if we want to start taking Tua and this Miami Dolphin offense and team seriously, they have to win this game on Sunday.
Yeah, they're not going to, but I agree with you on that.
They will.
Look, I just think there's always pressure on Dak Prescott. He's the Cowboy quarterback in as great a season as he's had. And it looks like he'll stay under that 10 interception number. He's got a good chance to do it.
Don't speak too soon.
I know, but the pressure's always on Dak Prescott. Because as soon as he loses one of these big games, you know what's coming down the pipe.
Yeah, but Tua, this is an opportunity. You want MVP, carry this franchise. You want to be the believer of the future. Win some ball games. Big ball games.
That leads me to number 2. It's a pretty good connection here. The Miami Dolphins are under the most pressure of any of the AFC teams vying for the playoffs. For real or Fugazi?
This is Fugazi. This comes Baltimore, not Baltimore, but the Buffalo Bills have the most pressure. Bottom line, they have to win out, and they have to win in dominant fashion. You talk about their 2.5 games behind the Miami Dolphins right now. Josh Allen and company, it's all on your shoulders. Can they get it done? So it's not on the Dolphins.
Just remember, the Bills win out, and they win the division.
Hey, I have to say Fugazi. I believe it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. You cannot start out 9-3 and do not make the playoffs.
Yes.
And do not win the division.
Now, to be fair, I did double check during the last break. The teams that Jacksonville has to play are like minor league teams.
Right. It doesn't matter. If you start out 9-3, you're supposed to win the division.
Yeah, okay. All right. I got you.
Three-way tie.
I mean, you're right, but they have 8 wins. But you're right. Yeah.
I mean, they are in a 3-way tie right now. They have the tiebreaker right now, but they are not any better. They're 8-6. The Colts are 8-6, and the Texans are 8-6. So I'm with you on that.
Right.
Okay.
I'm with Billy. I think the Bills got the most pressure because the Bills will go down as the best team that didn't make the playoffs in the history of the NFL if they don't make the playoffs.
All right, next one. Matthew Stafford is currently the best quarterback in the NFC. For real or Fugazi?
I'm surprised you even asked.
Where's the
me this.
machine?
What happened to the machine?
Where's the machine?
Right?
What? I didn't say
Did the machine retire?
I didn't say for real.
It's the Craig Carton Show. It's all on you. What are you talking
Well,
about?
then allow me to answer it.
Fugazi. Yeah, there you go. Hey.
The machine is the best quarterback in football, and that's Brock Purdy.
Yeah, it's not Stafford. Stafford's playing out of his mind, but this all comes down to Brock Purdy. He's the best. Second to Dak Prescott. Dak's number 2.
Excuse me?
Dak, yeah.
Excuse me?
I'm taking Dak over.
Brock, Dak, then
You
Stafford.
go Brock, Dak.
Yeah,
So you guys, your ranking of NFC quarterbacks, I want to make sure I heard you correctly.
Brock, Dak, Stafford.
Okay, I just want to make sure I heard that straight.
Yeah.
Why?
And just out of curiosity, your ranking of all quarterbacks is?
Lamar Jackson. Oh, that's what you want to hear. Oh, okay.
I was just checking.
Yeah.
All right, next one for you. This is a sensitive one for you guys.
Yes.
The Mike Tomlin era is coming to an end in Pittsburgh. For real or Fugazi?
This is Fugazi. What do you want me to say? No, Mike Tomlin is going to figure it out. The problem is he has a maturity issue in his locker room that I don't think he's going to be able to figure out to the offseason. But when it comes to his era with his production, he's doing a hell of a job. Have they been great as of late? No. But the era is not over.
Why is Plaxton so mad? He's like angry.
This is a tough one for the juggle this morning. You know what? I gotta say for real. Listen, he deserves to be the coach of this organization for a very long time. and he's been able to put together wins with rosters that he has no business winning football games.
Agreed.
But with that being said, I've never seen him, his mannerisms, take in press conferences and interviews, the way he is delivering messages. Usually, if something happened like what happened with George Pickens, not blocking, he would have been more outspoken about.
He would have benched him.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I knew that something's wrong internally, and I just think he's just
You know what I get
burnt
the
out in
sense?
Pittsburgh. And
Bingo. I think that's the key right there. Look, he's been there a very long time. He's had great successes. And now I think he sees a kind of a changing of the guard in the way the athletes are. Right. And that is guys not blocking, guys who don't give a damn, guys who may not put the work in. All those fundamental aspects of being what the Steeler code is all about. And he can't reach those guys, and that's a problem.
Yeah, but you talk about an organization that only has 3 head coaches in their existence, right? And so that you talk about a new era, like you talking about total overall. I don't know if the Roonies or the Steelers are prepared for that. I do agree with you. Today's athlete, not the dogs we play with. However, it's a maturity thing with them, and I don't know if he can heal that. Those guys have to get better.
But Mike Tomlin watching that press conference, he would have addressed that publicly, and he didn't.
Got it. Let's continue real quick here. The Philadelphia Eagles will win out to finish the regular season and with it take home the NFC East title. For real or for games?
As much as I love Tommy D and some chicken cutlets, this is for real. They're going to win out. Like, you talk about the Giants, Cardinals, Giants. This is over.
Plax
the Giant.
He's right, though, Plax.
Yeah,
you gotta own this one, right?
Yeah.
For real.
For real. I think we can leave it at that. The Giants are going to lose by 40 this weekend against the Eagles. No joke.
Blues.
No joke. Everyone's going to be like, the Eagles are back after this weekend. Slow your roll now. It's the Giants. All right, next one. The Baltimore Ravens are being disrespected as a 5.5-point underdog against the San Francisco 49ers. For real or for games?
This is for real, and I'm more pissed at you that you're not giving enough damn respect on national TV.
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson, the top 5 defense. What they've been able to do all season is deliver. They're a great road team. They can run it. They can throw it. And the problem with Lamar Jackson is right now, he's scaring the hell out the nation because there's no holes in his games. He can sit in the pocket and throw the ball down the field. He can run the ball. He can extend plays. He can birth the baby. He can dunk the basketball. He can make whoppers. There's nothing the man can't do. But yet, you want to talk about the machine? Lamar Jackson is the main attraction. What do you mean?
Really?
Monday night, Christmas Day, Action Jackson. All the presents, give it to Lamar. He can even play Santa. What does the man want to do?
Keep going.
You want him to be the best? He is the best. Damn your machine. Lamar Jackson, MVP. I said it. That's your receipt. Book it.
Yes. Yes, Willie.
You don't want to see it. You just don't want to see it. Oh, man. You don't want to see all the bells jingle. This is how you jingle the bells, baby. Yes.
Jingle bell.
Jingle bells.
I'm going to go throw up. We'll be back. We'll be right back.
I didn't know that Willie had a vein in the middle of it.
Good morning, welcome back to the Carton Show.
Let's do it.
That is Jalen Hurts. That is Philadelphia Eagles. They are not playing well. They've lost 3 in a row. And Jalen Hurts was asked about the streak and his impact on the team. And here is what the QB for the Eagles had to say.
When you think about holistically about the things we want to accomplish and everything that we're trying to do, that all runs through me. That all starts with me. And so when I say we, I mean me, because I'm the point guard out there. I'm the one that makes everything go. And I'm the guy that everyone trusts in to do and set the pace.
Craig, you've been basking in the dysfunction in Philadelphia for the last week and a half now.
Why is the lighting so different?
What does Jalen Hurts' comments tell you about what's going on with the Eagles?
Well, look, the Eagles are in full-on panic mode. Let's not mistake what's happened here in the last week after they lost that game to Seattle on Monday night in the manner that they lost it. But I've always liked Jalen. I think the organization has done him a real disservice. First, they embarrassed him in front of the cameras 2 weeks ago, showing him falling down on the ground with some guy with a stick Kaepernick barely hitting him to embarrass him and humble him. Then you have the nonsense in the Seattle game where they give up a 92-yard drive to Drew Lock, and then their best answer for that is let's hope and pray for pass interference to try to tie the game. And he came out with emotional and being frustrated because they just lost their third straight game, and he questioned the commitment of other guys. 3 days later, you're less emotional because you're not sitting there in your locker room after an embarrassing loss on national TV where people are now questioning your ability, having thrown 2 more interceptions, and you go back to being the great leader you are. And I think that's great maturity. I do think it's great leadership, and I think he means what he says. It all goes through me. I play badly, we lose. I play well, we have a chance to win. So I appreciate it. My concern in Philly is not about that kid, because he's money good.
Yes, sir.
My concern is everybody around him, because Nick Sirianni took some water on his boat with the crap about the PI, right? A.J. Brown has taken on water a couple different times this year, begging for the ball. And all of a sudden, you're like, wow, the Eagles are beatable. Not just that, they're not very good.
Yeah, but I also think right now it's about matching his energy, right? Like, he understands the urgency in the moment. It doesn't matter who they have ahead of him. What they look like in the playoff is all that matters. And so when
That's true. That's very true.
And when you talk about him specifically, like, I love the fact that Brandon Graham is talking about we need to figure out. I love the fact that Jason Kelce, a guy who's 13 years into his career, talking about, like, we got to get better. But there's other key pieces, right? Like, if you're A.J. Brown, don't be worried about Twitter. Worried about how can you get in the end zone.
There's also something that very clearly has happened here that nobody wants to talk about. The ugly elephant in the room is that other teams have gone to the league to complain about the Philadelphia Eagles. And what I mean about that is, remember the 3rd and short play where Kelce got called for moving the ball?
Yes.
In that game against Seattle?
Yep.
And you guys have talked about it. It's what he does. And good for him.
Most centers do it.
If you get away with it, great. It's 3rd and 1, and you move the ball the 1 up on the snap. So everyone's a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage to get the 1 yard to convert it for a first down. Someone complained about it, and the refs called it. So whatever dirty little tricks Philly had done really well, the league's on it. And now they can't do it.
Is that the reason why Nick Sirianni came out and said it's always 1st and 1 when we get the ball?
Yeah.
Because the push always works, or is he moving the ball forward?
Well, he clearly is moving the ball forward. Now, they're the best at 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. And I don't want to discount the fact that they've got a play that nobody else can replicate, and nobody can really stop it. But the little things they've done are now coming back to bite them in the ass.
I wouldn't say the Eagles are in panic mode. They just haven't played well in situational football over the last 3 weeks. But the elephant in the room is, ever since Dom has left the sideline, the Philadelphia Eagles haven't been the same. You know what? You got to say that. They haven't been the same.
Kelce said the league warned him about that, and he did it anyway. He took accountability for it. And Kelce said something earlier that we kind of breezed past. We talked about it on the show for a little bit. It was like when they were like 6 and 1, he's like, we're still not right. He's like, we're winning these games, but we're still not right. And I made a little mental note about that. And here we are later, and it sort of manifested itself. Like, yeah, they had a great record, but they weren't right. And they haven't been right the whole time. And now we're seeing the results of it.
But now here's the weird thing for them. And I know how I feel as a fan. Like I've always said, I want the easiest road to a championship. There's no pride, in how you got there. Just get there and win, right? Doesn't matter, right? So the thing that's interesting to me is, I don't think they're going to have a competitive game the rest of the way. I think they blow the Giants out. I think maybe the Cardinals fight for a quarter or two, but I think they blow the Cardinals out. I think you're talking about 3 consecutive games where they're pulling Jalen Hurts in the 4th quarter to protect him from injury going into the playoffs. I'm trying to – I don't have the answer, I'll be honest. I'm trying to figure out if that's good for them.
It is.
Or if that's, in a weird way, a bad thing that they're not going to play a competitive game.
No, what's interesting about this, and to your point, is this defense has to come alive. Like, this is a defense, especially a defensive line that had 74 sacks last season, right? They're not as dominant as they were. Like, sure, they have a lot of back-end roles, but I'm talking about their front. You talking about Sweat, not Sweat. You talking about Carter and the rest of the boys. They have to be more dominant. And I know you said you hate this word, complementary football, but that's one thing you want to play this time of year. You want your offense to score. You want your defense to stop you.
You think it's good for them to have 3
I think right now you need to find confidence somewhere. Even if it comes against the Giants and the Cardinals going into the playoffs, that's 3 wins in a row. Just like I said, they win the NFC East. You get 2 home games to get back to the NFC Championship game, and I think that they do.
Yeah, and by the way, the one thing for all the knocks I put on Philly, we've all agreed they're going to win these last 3 games. Yeah. They are going to win the NFC East. They are going to be the number 2 seed. And then you obviously roll the dice. We'll see who they play and all that stuff. But if you gun to your head, I think we'd all agree. We're looking at Philly, San Francisco, again, this time in San Francisco in the championship game. I'm with you in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to our second headline. That involves Game of the Week. No, Game of the Year. Of course, talking about the number 1 in the AFC Ravens heading to the Bay to play the number 1 in the NFC 49ers. And here's a question.
Yeah.
Is this truly what you would consider a Super Bowl preview?
Yeah, I think it's 2 things. I think this is your Super Bowl. I just think Baltimore has been the most consistent and best team in the AFC with the runner-up for MVP. San Francisco has been the best team in the league the entire year with the MVP. So I think it's the MVP Bowl, and I think we're going to get a glimpse of where we're going to get the second Sunday in February as well.
As much as I love Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens, I can't discount the Buffalo Bills, right? Like it's hard for me. We've said it time after time. If the Bills, once they do get into the playoffs, they will be the most scariest team in football. So if they get to the AFC Championship, that's going to be the one.
That game would be in Baltimore, obviously. Right. Yep. Well, we can worry about that if we ever get to it. Look, I'm a big fan of what the Bills are doing. I think the Bills win out. I do think the Bills get in. But the question is this a preview? I know it's kind of chalky right now to say yes, but I've been saying it since October. So I'm going to stick with what I said in October. San Francisco, Baltimore is your Super Bowl, unless you think the Jets make a run.
You just had to do it. We just couldn't get through a show.
Bless your Jet
We
heart.
could not get through a show with him missing the same. Jet.
Yeah.
Couldn't get through a show, could you? We almost made it. We have 10 minutes left.
I got to do what I got to do.
10 minutes left.
I got to do. I'm just looking forward to 2025 Super Bowl in New Orleans when the Jets are playing the Niners, trying to stop the Niners from winning their second consecutive Super Bowl. But we got all next year to talk about that.
More on that later. More on that later. Moving on to our final headline and our final game of the year. And of course, we're talking about the Cowboys heading into Miami. Remember, the Cowboys got waxed by the Bills on the road. They have a bad road record. They need this win for the confidence. And speaking of confidence, Craig, you are so confident in this Cowboys win that you said it on Monday you guaranteed it. Tuesday you backed it up. Here we are on Friday. What makes you so confident that the Cowboys will win this one?
Because I'm special and how I view the sport of football. It's why the Bagel and Locks picks are now 20-0. You can check the tapes; it's legit. I think the Dallas Cowboys, coming off a bad loss, going into South Florida, Dolphins off an easy peasy win. I love those situations where you have a really good team, refocused, rededicated after being embarrassed in front of 15 million people, and hearing all the doubters now. Oh, maybe they're not that good. Oh, the Cowboys on the road are a different team. Look, I respect both these teams. I do think they're most likely both going to be in the playoffs, so the Dolphins aren't a lock to get there just yet. But this, to me, is the Cowboys season. This is the signature win. Yes. This is the signature win on the road for the Dallas Cowboys. And if you really are a Super Bowl contender, you win a game like this.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you also got to understand, like, the Dolphins are going to come out fighting. This is their season too, right? Because what you have in Tua Tagovailoa is a guy that has to produce. There's no other way for Tua to play than he has to outplay Dak Prescott at home. Like, you're talking about an offensive line that has a lot of injuries. They have the weapons on that outside.
Dolphins are banged up across the board.
Right, but Tua has to be the difference.
So everybody's playing that mispractice this week. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So why were you so confident in the Buffalo Bills last week and said they were a lock against the Dallas Cowboys, but now you're picking the Dallas Cowboys on the road to beat the Miami Dolphins?
Because I'm special. This is the deal. I'm like Caractacus Potts. I see the world in a wet mountain.
Who is that?
Who's this?
The guy that built Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Everybody knows that. You can look it up.
How do you spell Caractacus?
Yeah, Caractacus Potts. That's it. You can look it up. That's what his name is. Look, here's the deal. You're right.
I don't understand that.
Because Miami hasn't beaten anybody. Not their fault. The schedule is what it is. You give me the game.
Would you say something about the Cowboys?
Give me the game where the Dolphins played a playoff team and won. I'll wait because the answer is they haven't, all right? Now, the Dallas Cowboys, prior to beating the Eagles, and I know it was at home, hadn't either. But look at Miami. Beating up on a bad Chargers team, bad Patriots team at the time, an embarrassingly bad Denver Broncos team. I think they scored 90 points in that game.
Yep.
Beat the Giants, they suck. The Panthers suck. The Patriots suck. The Raiders stink. Fired their coach after that game. We know about the Jets, they stink. And Washington. When they played a team that had any semblance at all of an average or better than average quarterback, what'd they do?
Lost.
They lost.
Yeah.
Until, of course, they got through Zach Wilson and the Jets the second time. Just teasing. But now all of a sudden, you're playing 3 consecutive playoff teams. Every one of those teams has what?
A defense.
A legitimate quarterback and a good defense. This, to me, is the Dallas Cowboys are out of their league.
Dallas does not have a good defense. They consistently give
Well,
up
we're gonna
30
find
points
out.
a game over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Look, you asked-
consistently 30-point games.
Miami doesn't have a win against anyone any good.
Yeah,
All right?
but
they don't.
But look what Plax is saying. The Dolphins have a run game, right? And last time we see the Cowboys on tape, and they got rolled. They got rolled by the Buffalo Bills and James Cook. So if I'm the Dolphins, man, you have to feel confident. You have to feel confident what you can do on offense. Now, defensively is different.
I'm not saying they're not confident. I'm not saying that you guys haven't scripted exactly what they need to do to win. I respect all that. I get all that. But you guys will call me on Tuesday or Monday and say, I don't know how you did it, Craigie, but you got it right again. Sure. You're the only guy in America that sees things the way you see it, which is why Bagels and Locks is 20-0. The Cowboys will beat the Miami Dolphins. And here's what that sets up. It sets up a very interesting scenario for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Baltimore and Baltimore,
Yeah.
the Bills down in Florida. Lose those games, and we're going to have 2 sit next to us in the playoffs.
We are still waiting on Dak Prescott to get that signature win in the big games when this team needs them.
On the road, Plax. That's what they're talking
on the
about.
road, yes, but he beat Philly last week.
Craig,
On the road.
As much as it pains me to say it,
Yeah.
you made a great point.
Thank you.
When you compared these 2 teams, like they are
the same thing.
They're kind of mirror images of each other. Like we look at them as sort of the class of their conferences, but they also don't have signature wins.
Yeah, but when you talk about the Cowboys on the road, they're a different ball club. They don't score as much. They don't defend as great. Look, Michael Parsons isn't that effective. Dak Prescott with this injured offensive line isn't the guy we love to talk about in the MVP category. CeeDee Lamb, and you can find him only throughout the time. He'll have spots. The bottom line is the road team, they're not a great road team. And this time of the year, me and Plex have been on the road, have played for championships outfits. One thing we can say we did, we won ball games on the road. So when you talk about Dak Prescott and this Cowboy team, there's a lot to prove. Can you go to Miami and beat Tua at his best right now?
The Miami Dolphins scored 30 points on Sunday.
I think so. I think they light up the scoreboard.
I mean, crazy talk.
30 points.
And here's the thing, not all losses are the same. So when you take a look at who the Dallas Cowboys lost to on the road, they lost to San Francisco, correct?
They didn't just lose.
42
What was
to
the
10.
first one?
They got embarrassed, right?
Right.
Obviously, the Cardinal loss is an embarrassingly bad loss.
And they got ran all over in that
And I
one
get
too.
it. Yep, and they own it, and I get it. They lost to the Eagles, and they lost to the Bills. Oh, my God. I can't believe they lost to 2 playoff teams on the road.
Oh, but
Watch
you
what
can't
happens.
take that approach.
Watch what happens.
no.
Watch what happens. You guys have my phone number.
Yeah.
Use it. Use it. Use it this weekend because I'll have it on. And when Dallas wins that game, you guys all come back to me and go, I don't know how you do this every week, but God, you're the
But
best.
you don't do it every week.
No, it's for me. I think I worry about the fact that what we saw last week wasn't just the fact that they lost. They got out physical, right? And this time of year, man.
But don't you react to that? They know they got out physical.
Yeah, but the problem is,
Maybe they don't.
But we talk about the week going into that game. They knew what was ahead of them. They knew they had to go. Coming off an emotional win, right? You got to go to Buffalo. And I tell you, the worst thing that happened to that Cowboys team was right before they left the locker room, they were in the playoffs, right? Because what they didn't know, there was a little more grit. There was a little more dog in them.
Right.
Now you got to go to Miami, and you got to figure out where that dog is on the road. And you got to go and do it against an offense that's putting up 31 points a game.
I think what you just said is the reason the Cowboys win the game. I think this week the Cowboys they got absolutely dominated. They got dog walked by the Bills, and I think they had a week of practice. They said we just have to have this one. We have to bounce back.
I heard Jerry saying it. I didn't hear nobody else saying it.
It's a bounce back.
I kind of feel like Thomas Edison when he invented the light bulb, but everyone else was like, "We got candles. Who needs lights?" I feel the same way. It's very frustrating to hear you guys talk about an event that I know the outcome of before it takes place. That being said, I just want to have you guys on the record. You're taking the Dolphins.
Dolphins win.
You're taking the Dolphins.
I'm taking the Dolphins, and they will throw for 300-plus yards and score 30 points on this secondary and this defense. They are going to spread the Dallas Cowboys out offensively and force them to play coverage. And now the running game's wide open.
Okay, I'm going to wait on you because I know your pick's coming up on that game, so I'm going to let you do that 1 second. Be awake on Tuesday morning.
Okay.
Because we're going to be calling you on Tuesday morning.
FaceTime.
Okay? Yeah.
FaceTime.
Just be ready to go on Tuesday morning. All right. With that, we're going to go now and get to the official picks of the guys. The reason I didn't include Jacoby in that is because he's got a pick on the Dallas-Miami game, and he will start off our pick segment.
I believe the Dallas Cowboys will upset the Dolphins in Miami, and that is based 75% on what I've seen from the Cowboys this season and 25% on the fact that Craig guaranteed it, and he's been right the last few weeks.
My guy. Smart. What do you got, Plax?
You know what? My pick is the Minnesota Vikings. I said a couple of weeks ago
Detroit?
that the Detroit Lions would lose one of these two games in a row. Versus Chicago, they lost, and they will lose back-to-back weekends in the division.
Really?
And they will go to Minnesota and the
Big
Vikings
quarterback questions in Minnesota, but I respect that. And they do play twice in 3 weeks, and you were dead on with the game against Chicago. Which brings me to you, big fella.
Yeah, you're right.
Some people like walnuts.
Right.
Some people like peanuts. He likes chestnuts.
Yeah, and I like them Baltimore Ravens Monday night against your San Francisco 49ers in a dominant fashion.
Yes.
Lamar Jackson coming to town with that badass defense, and we're taking bodies, we're stealing presents, and we're stomping all over the Niners. And this is a Steeler talking. Go Ravens.
I want to be clear. They cover the 5.5?
Yeah.
Or they win outright?
Both.
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 Okay. If you're going to wager, please wager responsibly. Gambling should be a recreational activity. If you have a bad loss, do not chase bad losses. From all of our families to all of you guys, appreciate all the support and love you've given us this year. Merry Christmas. We will see you on Tuesday, and there's going to be a lot to talk about. Have a great weekend.